Hello and welcome to unMadeGaming, guys. It is Wednesday, and that means it's time for Blades in the Dark 6 and 20, the Shroud. We're back here again with some crazy nonsense that happened last time. We're still reeling. We met the man in white. For Nick's twice in one day, for everyone else the first time. So yeah, we're going to get into that and see what the hell we fucked up and how bad in shape we all are and how we die immediately. First one to die, I assume, is Exorcist Ninja. Who are you? What are you doing here? And how do you plan on dying today?
Wait, I thought you were going to say fucking Bowerstone because he fucking was pooping his pants the whole time.
Yeah, but he's like the last one in the room, so...
That's bullshit. Wait, my family's dead. I'm just kidding. So's mine.
Oh, man.
So I'm Exorcist Ninja. I'm going to be playing OC again. We're going to get a little bit more into the backstory, even more. I'm pretty pumped to see how deep a shit we're in this week after the fun that we had last week with Slaying.
Sweet. And starting the night off right, Miss Louise, the newest member of Team Shroud, hashtag Team Shroud, hashtag Shroud will rise, hashtag Steam rises, has just subscribed to the channel. So everyone starts off with +1 position, including the Dungeon Master. And Sling, welcome home. Speaking of people likely to die and Bowerstone, Slade, Quick Dice Gaming, who are you? What are you doing here? And how are you going to die today?
Already pretty much dying inside from my family being dead. Thanks, Miss.
Can't hear you.
What? Can't. How about now?
Huh?
What?
Your parents can't hear you from their graves.
Oh, it's hard to hear you over the screams of their ghosts that you've locked in a bedroom. Perfect. And while he's gone, everyone gets another position because Johnny has just subscribed to the channel. So Johnny, thank you very much for that. So everyone, including Johnny, you cheater, gains another position on nonsense they can do.
Well, didn't you meet your subscriber goal too? Doesn't something extra special happen when you meet your subscriber goal? Because that's 2, right?
No, it's just every time we meet any of the micro goals, everyone gains position.
Sorry, I quit.
Fuck
I'm
you,
sorry.
you subbed
I'm out
anyway.
here.
Sorry,
Bye.
Sorry, man. You know? I mean, you know what? I can make something special happen for you by the end of the day. I have a 6 and 20 shirt. I'll just start taking it off. That's the post stream. We'll talk about that afterward, guys. livejasmine.com/unmadegaming.
After dark.
Since Slade's done and he has left all of us without his presence, thank God. We'll go over to the least likely person to die because he's already escaped. Greg, who are you? What are you doing here? And what are you going to do when we all die?
My name's Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter, and I play Steam, the Lark. And Steam, at the end of the episode, left with his sister Sling, escaping whatever wrath, no pun intended, the man in black or man in white might be doing to the rest of the guys. And if you guys go down, I will drink one to you, and I'll still become a god, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'll think about you from time to time.
There'll only be 7 now.
Right. Well,
I will say that at the start of the Phantoms episode, probably the first 30 minutes, I got a message from Greg that says, "Oh my God, I forgot to get your mask back. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh, damn it!" Oh man, yeah, it was pretty good. Luis, as a sub, you can give out a crit. Yep, that is a thing you can do. And last but definitely least, if you know this crowd, Johnny, who are you? What are you doing here? And how do you plan on killing us all?
Hold on a second. I'm trying to message Louise. She told me she was going to send me back your mask and tell me what was happening, but she didn't. And now that you guys mentioned the mask, I'm trying to... Can you just come back later?
Sure.
No, seriously.
Hi, this is Johnny. He is VideostoreCowboy. He runs a channel. They only stream one night a week. It's okay. They're the 3rd best crew in the game. I think his family plays or something. The end.
Count God Squad, 4th best.
Well, so yeah, thanks for the introduction, Mike. Yeah, I actually am messaging Louise right now, trying to get her to tell me what she was supposed to let me know what last week, what she was going to do with the mask, and if it was going to get back to you. It's, given that circumstance, I'll let you know at some point during the game. So you guys know where Steam went off. He went off and took Sling back to Crow's Foot and basically dropped her off. We did a little bit of an epilogue in that respect last week. Where we left you guys was facing the man in white, also known as Chaos, somewhere in the Lost District, a structure kind of in the center of the Lost District. And you guys had all gotten there at the direction of the demon that was essentially possessing Sling by the name of Esther. And at the last minute, just before there was going to be some sort of like huge confrontation between the two of them, Nick stepped in and, made it difficult. Do you want to tell us what you did next?
How did I make it difficult? I saved her life. I saved the
shanked
poor
the
girl's
bitch.
life.
You saved the poor girl's life, or you saved the life of the man in white?
Semantics.
Semantics, sure, whatever.
Steam asked for a favor. It was to get a demon out of his sister, and ipso facto, I got the demon out of his sister. Okay.
All right, fair enough. So, where
Steve's
we leave
the
off?
good guy. He's the hero in the story. Don't paint him as a bad guy.
I thought that was Bowerbomb.
No, he's a puppet in the story. We've discovered that.
I'm just the messenger.
Is he a puppet? I mean, have you guys been watching the Tuesday Crew? Anyways.
Fucking what?
I just wanted to make you shocked a little bit there, Slade. Okay, so where we
no,
left...
I don't give a shit. Pause it. What's happening?
Apparently, you're not watching the Tuesday Crew. If you need to watch, you should go back.
They are looking for a vigilante.
Oh, Greg, you're a fan of this, and you're not caught up. They caught the vigilante.
Oh, no, I didn't. I couldn't watch last night, man. I got in late.
Yeah, Greg.
He popped in at the end there. Give the guy some credit.
I was there. I came in late though, man.
Yes, we know. Trendane said hello to you. He made sure to say hello specifically to you. Nobody else but you.
Yep. Good, because I like Trendane. The rest of you fuckers, I'm not real sure about.
All right. With all that said, we left you guys off in a particular interesting circumstance.
Did we?
Steam left with Sling, taking her unconscious body that Nyx had stabbed with the blade. Do you have a name for the blade for specifically, or are we just calling it the blade at this point?
I mean, so Nyx doesn't know what it does yet, but I've just started calling it the Bane Blade.
Okay, that's actually a pretty appropriate name, but I'm going to refer that because you guys have named other things in the world where you haven't discovered their actual name yet. I just want to make sure I reference it correctly without... Now, Slade. Now. I want to make sure I reference it in the way you guys think of it. So you took the Bane Blade and basically stabbed Sling with it. She healed eventually. The demon supposedly left her based on everything that you guys saw. You were then left as Steam, essentially exited and moved back into Doskvol proper in the room with the man in white, in which he engaged you and asked you a very simple question, which was... Are you here to, answer his call?
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he did say, "Meet me in the thing with the thing."
That is correct. So that is where we will open up, and I will set the stage again. He will say the words, and then we will see what your answer is, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Now, in the Lost District, when you guys actually arrived there, one of the things that you noticed was that the buildings were of an older type of architecture and construction. More brick, more stone. The streets were cobblestone, but very kind of rough cobblestone and not as smooth and as even to ride across on a carriage. There were bigger pieces of lumber that were used in, and representing the structure. Very, very much... like a Germanic kind of structure from like the 17 and 1800s kind of a thing. So in walking through this, you got the feeling of how old the Lost District actually is and how unchanged it is from the time. And so when you made your way through and you took out the couple of individuals who appeared to be either possessed or under the influence of the man in white and made your way all the way to the top of the stairs, the room that you found yourself was pretty plain. And the man in white was not dressed in his finery, but was actually dressed in a robe of some kind. In the corner, in a bed, was Mother May, laying unconscious. And you notice some really interesting things about the man in white, Caius. His skin was more golden. He wears a wig, as you came to find out that he has incredibly short, cropped hair on his scalp, and his ears are a fair bit longer and to a point. And when you see him and you see all of this, you know that there's a difference, right? There's something very different about him. And which, after the attack happens, he moves into attack Sling. Nick steps up, stabs her. He steps back and takes in the circumstances. It's only when Steam leaves with Sling that he asks you this question. And that's where we'll start.
Yeah, so Nyx is kind of standing there. Well, actually, I guess he was kneeling because he knelt down. He took off his spirit mask, put it on the bleeding out Sling, and told Steam to get her out of here because she's vulnerable. So once Steam kind of spirits her away, he would rise, blood still dripping off of the knife, the dagger. And is OC and Bowerstone still in the room? Or did they make it into this room?
Begrudgingly, yes.
Yeah.
Compelling to, yes.
So yeah, he kind of like looks back to the two of you now that Steam has left. Like once he's like getting up, he kind of looks to the two of you and turns to the man in white and says, I will be honest with you, Caius. It was not my intent to see you this early, but it appears as though a friend of mine was in need, and another friend of his was hence sent to kill you. So, twice in one night I have saved your life. And here I find myself, in less than splendid regalia, in your secret hovel.
At the word hovel, he wrinkles his nose and says, "This is a palace. Can you not appreciate its finery?"
Perhaps at one time, but now it's crumbling.
Haha. And he reaches forward and says, "May I touch you?"
Well, it's been a day. Let's see what happens. And he steps forward.
And when he touches you, for a moment you get a glimpse of your surroundings lighted up. The room decorated with more furniture and finery. The bed, not the tired bed in the corner, the mattress, ruined, but this is a fair, fine 4-post bed, the finest of linens, and in it sleeps quite a young woman. And when you get this sense, just for that second, you get a feeling that he is sharing with you how he perceives the world, or tries to perceive the world. And when he removes his hand, he says, "Now, are you sure?"
What does the young woman look like?
A much younger version of Mother May.
Does it look like the young girl from my vision?
No. Mother May in your vision was there.
Was the
right?
woman in rags, right? And she was holding the
She was the woman in rags, holding the hands of the young girl.
Okay. Yeah, he kind of like stumbles back after being released from whatever this was. And he looks at him and says, "Curiouser and curiouser."
Now, this is the second time you've been given a vision.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's going to affect you. The transition between perception and reality is going to affect you a little bit less, not unlike attuning to the ghost field for the first time and then subsequently just being able to ease yourself into it.
Yeah. Yeah, for someone who is, usually just avoided spirits, he's just fucking been drawn to them for the last fucking 6 weeks. Yeah, so he kind of stumbles back after, he's released from this vision. And he, like, kind of locates himself in the room, and he kind of looks around at the things that go back to normal, looks to Mother May and sees that she's an elderly woman in rags. And he just kind of looks like incredulously up at Caius and says, "What are you?"
When you look back at him, you realize that he has changed a little bit in giving you the vision. And if OC and Reymond are looking at Caius, you'll notice that when he touched Nyx, he got a little bit more tired and a little bit more hunched over. He leaned in a little bit more. And what you see as a difference, Nyx, is the golden skin that you noticed is beginning to fade and pale a little bit. the golden tone is still there, but it looks older. And his face looks a little bit more tired. And the ears, the points at them they look a little longer. They're almost beginning to curve a little bit out from his skull, as if they're beginning to droop. And his nose is also a little bigger, or actually all of the features of his face are a little bit more enhanced or grotesque, and his nose is more hooked. And it shocks you for a second, because when you look at this and you see the person that you've seen the 3 previous times that you've seen him, and the vision counts as a time previous, before seeing him in the vision, each time he looked relatively normal or close to normal. But it's clear that whatever he did expended something, and he is paying for it, like physically paying for it. He's more physically tired. And so when you ask that question, you're taking in the transition that he is making. And he says, that is a story for another night. Though I will share with you this. I am not alone in my unique state. We are all paying the price for misdeeds. And we suffer. And as he holds up his hand, saying, as we suffer, you realize that his hand is no longer just the shape of a normal human hand, but the fingers are elongated a little bit, almost in tips. And the bones are more protruded, and the skin is more taut, and yet at the same time there is a little bit of a wrinkle to them, as if he is aging and transforming a little bit. But that brings us back to the matter at hand, he says. Have you come to heed my call?
And again, he kind of looks back at OC and Bowerstone. He says, in the past few weeks, I have been warned against your presence by a demon. I have escorted a demon here to kill you. I have been warned against your presence by a ghost. I have spoken to an elderly ghost who is looking for you. I have fought off a man who threw me across the room as if I were a piece of bread. And yet here I stand before you, saving your life for a second time in less as many days. So yes, I'm here to heed your call. What's the worst that can happen?
He begins to chuckle a little bit, and it's a dry, sort of raspy chuckle, with a little bit of a cough in there somewhere, as you hear that his breathing is a little bit more labored. It's going to be a test of how far you're willing to go. But if you're here, I'm happy to give you an opportunity. Now, is this just you? And he looks over at OC.
OC's been waiting for this motherfucker to address her. She's gonna step forward and look at her friends and say, we came here to help a friend. We were not told what was said at the gala, at the event, or why we're here, so no. Not before we hear, not before we know what he knows.
And when you say that you don't know what was said, he looks at Nyx with a little bit of a smile as you finish, And you realize that he's not disrespecting you, more as he's amused at Nick's lack of honesty. And he says, well, and he gets a big smile, and for the first time you see his teeth, and his teeth are yellowed, very human-like. The canines are a little bit enhanced, but he's very human-like in his teeth. And he smiles, but they're incredibly yellow. And he says, let me fix that for you. And before you can react, he moves very quickly and touches you.
I can't roll to move away since he's far from me. I'm standing back by the stairs. He can reach me?
You came forward is what you said.
Well, towards Nick.
You came forward and you to address him.
Okay.
Well, if you didn't do that, then this is not going to happen. But if you're afraid something's going to happen,
she wouldn't be standing close enough to that guy. I didn't realize how close he was. I forgot he touched Nick's. She would not be going near this fucking weird, gangly ass dude with his weird hand. She wants no part of that. So if that were the case, he's close to her. She thought she was on the other side.
Again, before you can even react, he moves very quickly towards you.
Weirdo.
Touches you on the forehead for just a second. And in a blinding flash, you get the entire memory of what happened at the Opera House, played out in your head from the audience's perspective. So you now have complete knowledge of everything that happened there. And after you're kind of left reeling for just a second and reacting, being overwhelmed with the emotion, you see him stepping back. And Nyx, and Reymond, again, this movement happens so quickly, you're not sure what's going on. And after he touches OC, he's stepping back. More of his features have begun to enhance or become grotesque. His fingers are longer. His skin, still with a tone of gold, but incredibly pale now. Very wrinkled. Paper thin almost when you look at it. And while his chin and his nose and his cheekbones and his forehead look enhanced, they're almost swollen and grotesque, and his nose has become incredibly large and hooked. And you see that the ears, the points of the ears now begin to really droop, and they're incredibly long. You realize that, again, he has expended something and has aged, has diminished in some way.
So with this,
Mm-hmm.
she's going to ask 2 questions. Why do the Dimmer sisters want you and whatever is inside Lady... Is it Bowmore?
Rowan.
What's her name? Rowan. Lady Rowan out of the city? If you're here to help, or here to bring this group together to help, why the opposition?
He leans in.
She's gonna lean out.
Well, he's leaning in. He stepped back, but he's leaning in, looking at you very specifically. And he reaches into his pocket, and he pulls out the pendant, kind of dangling, and holds it out to you. And says, I believe this is yours.
Not mine.
Oh, well. And he moves his hand in a way that allows it to drop. So he reaches out, holding it to you. When you refuse it, it drops to the ground. And when it does, it looks incredibly weathered and diminished. Almost tarnished and caked with years and years of neglect. You've spent a lot of time in this city. I can see it in your soul. There is always opposition to one's motivations, to one's desires. You yourself have been opposed countless times. Does that seem like it would be any different from me? People don't always agree with each other.
There has to be a reason. There has to
there's
be a
always-
past. There has to be a...
Oh, there's always a past. There's always a reason.
That's what I'm asking for.
You haven't earned it.
Okay.
You haven't
And she's going
proven.
to turn around and leave.
Okay. And as you're leaving, he says, you won't find what you were looking for at the sisters. That time
They've
is
been
gone.
more help to me and answered more questions than you have. And she'll leave.
Okay. And where do you go?
She's going to go outside and start heading back to the boat.
You're just basically going to leave Reymond and Nick's sitting.
She's waiting for that. She'll wait. She'll walk slowly, but she's leaving. And I'm sure she'll say Steam and to see if he's around. If he's not, she'll just keep walking.
Okay. All right. So we'll actually deal with that in just a second. Coming back to being in the room, there's Nyx and Reymond left. And as OC leaves, you see that Caius watches her walk down the stairs. And the moment that she's out of sight, he looks over to Reymond. And he says, and you? Why are you here?
Favor for a favor.
Are you heeding the call? Do I need to show you something? Or are you going to just walk away too?
I'm more curious than others.
Good, he says, and he turns. And as you see him move towards Mother May, you can see that his walk, his gait is very labored. Each step is a significant amount of effort for him. And he's leaned over a little bit more. And you can see that against the cloth on his back, his spine is visible just a little bit. And he finally reaches the bed. He leans over and begins to do what you think is a kiss on Mother May, who has been unconscious the entire time. But what you hear is a breathing, a raspy sort of intake of breath, and then an exhale. And then another one, and then an exhale. And then by the time the third one comes, it sounds less raspy. And by the fourth, and by the fifth, it sounds more natural. And by the time he reaches his 10th breath, he stands back up and turns to you. And he has changed back to his youthful self. Hair short, skin bright and shining, eyes gleaming, ears not even a point. The features of his face back into that beautiful physique that was described, that beautiful chiseled look. His hands look human again. The skin on them tight, the flesh full, not bony. And when he looks to you, you can see a gleam in his eyes. And if you look back at Mother May, she looks diminished. She looks old and very ragged and very taunt, and her features are incredibly well defined, and her skin is very pale. Her hair is matted and gray. But there's something about her eyes, and there's a shine just for a second there. And as you're watching, as he begins to kind of step back towards you, lively and smiling, beautiful white teeth, canines not pronounced. you can see that there is a faint glow coming from Mother May, and the hair begins to slowly change strand by strand back from gray to the dirty brown, sort of grayish, salt and peppered kind of look. And he steps up and he says, well, now that we've got that settled, I believe you want to be alderman. And he looks over to Reymond and he says, that's a good thing. I'm going to help you because you're going to help me. And he looks at Nyx and he said, first things first, I want to pay a debt, but I'm giving you an opportunity to ask me for what payment you would like. You've saved my life twice. What can I do for you, Nyx?
Word of our community's acclaim spreads.
Oh, man. Go to the next person. Shit.
What does Nyx think that he can deliver? That is probably the better question that you should ask from a meta perspective.
Shit.
And I think the table can probably help you answer this one because
no, they can't.
there are a lot
I'm
of clues
typing as fast as I can.
Oh man.
Kill the Phantom. Just kidding, guys.
Oh.
Sorry, not sorry. Kidding, not kidding.
I'm not sorry, but I'm
You
kidding.
forgot the Tuesday crew as
Man,
well.
I don't know how powerful Nyx thinks this guy is. Like, he obviously thinks he's powerful, but I don't have a relative scale for the world.
And he's intentionally not
Yeah.
let you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that the conflict that's going on, the two opposing groups that you have seen are significant here, right? So you know that there is a fair bit of amount of power going on here. He's just demonstrated something to you that is incredibly significant, right? In respect to who he is or what's going on with him, right? He's given you an opportunity there to see him at his worst and at his best, and why that is, right? So that should give you an idea of scale in respects to what he could do.
Ask for property in White Crown.
Very limited.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
You do way better. That guy just fucking healed himself. What do you mean you have property?
It's the
I
most
like this
powerful
house
place in
here.
the city.
It is the most powerful place in the city.
About the high.
Nyx looks... Bowerstone, where are you standing in this whole situation? Because he was talking to you for a second.
He's going to be about, I'd say, 5 feet to the left of Nyx, behind.
Ask to kill him.
But at this point, he's going to take off the mask because
Yeah.
he don't need the mask on anymore now that he knows who I am.
Yeah. He looks over to you and sort of smiles, and then looks back to Caius and says, "You offered to assist my friend here in becoming alderman. I want control of Doskvol."
He smiles. Looking at you, he says, ambitious.
As always.
You're learning. And he's begins to kind of do motions in his head and kind of think about it. And yes, I can deliver that. I can deliver that easily. But I'm going to need your help to deliver that. And it's going to start with him. And he points to Reymond. And he says,
Oh, you can have him.
Does Reymond respond to that? I'm just curious because that's pretty damn funny. He just offered you up.
I mean, to be fair, Nix offers him up all the time. That's a run-of-the-mill Tuesday.
I'm not your bitch, Nix.
Just your bottom?
Just.
I mean, to be fair, you my bottom bitch.
Well, so
For fuck's sake.
he looks at you after pointing to Reymond, and he says, "Bold request. Circumstances are in play already, as I told you at the event. My goal is to make sure everybody is safe, that we save Doskvol. If you want to take it, you just have to make sure that you save it." And he turns and he reaches into a chest and he digs in deep, and there's various scrolls and pieces of paperwork there, and he pulls out a book and he kind of looks at it for a second, kind of flips through some pages. As he's flipping through, you see a page at the end, demon writing all over it in red. Exposed to you, not in the ghost field, not exposed anyplace else, but glowing. And he brings it over to you as he closes it, and you see that the pages are alight and glowing, and that there's a little bit of red at the bottom of the book as he hands it to you. And he says, and it starts with this. I believe you have 2 others. And there's a 4th.
Yes, we'll have that as well.
It will start with those. When you have all 4, bring them back to me. And that will begin that would be the fulfillment of your gift. What I owe you. Now, I have my own needs, as does Mother May. As he looks over to her, you see that the glow is still there. It's a little bit of a golden glow as it kind of permeates her entire being. She's not recovered from what you saw. She's in no way looking healthier or better, but she is beginning to mend a little bit. And he says, now, the reason that I ask for help is because there are some things that I can't do. I can't affect the lives of mortal men, but you can. Your puppet here, and he points to Reymond,
Enjoy your stay.
will be the beginning of that, but that's not the only thing. I need you to do something else. I need you to disrupt the normal cycle of things. Death needs to be feared again. And so he turns around, grabs something off the table, a piece of paper that you were looking at, and he hands it to you, and he says, it starts here. And when you look at it, it is a sketch of the crematorium.
Like a sketch of the building itself, like the outside of the building?
The outside of the building. And he says, what I need is
Enjoy
inside
your
here.
stay.
I need you to bring me a mask. You know about those, don't you?
A thing or two.
Now, return when you have it. And don't worry about your puppet here. Other things are in motion and will be coming your way shortly.
To be clear, any mask or a particular one?
Any mask found And he points to the paper and he says, "In here."
Well then, today has in fact been a day. And he turns and sort of looks to Reymond and begins to walk away.
He's going to eye him for a little bit and then follow.
Okay. And so as you leave, you hear him humming a tune. It's a little jaunty sort of sea shanty tune under his breath.
Don't do humming. Leave.
And you find OC sort of towards the bottom of the building, slowly making her way, kind of picking her way around the bodies. And you all step outside into the cold night's air. It's then that you notice that the sounds have returned a little bit in the world. And off in the distance, you hear snarls and wails. And they sound like they're getting closer.
He's gonna book it.
Are the rest of you booking it with her?
We're outside, right? Yeah. So we had.
You were outside. You were outside of the building that you were just in.
Yeah.
You're a little bit of a distance from the place that you were expecting to go.
Yeah. Yeah. You would see Nick still has his necklace out, and it looks to be made of the same black wood as the mask he wore, and it also faintly glows blue. And he begins to follow OC's lead and chase after her.
Okay, so if you look back, or you're going to look back at some point, to look back at the building and try to take in everything that's going on as the cacophony of sound is beginning to get louder and louder around you. The sound's getting closer and closer. You see that the light, the candlelight coming from that window that attracted you initially to that building is gone. And so as you make your way back to the down into the catacomb where there's a little dock.
Enjoy your stay.
The boats. Actually, that is a good question. There was only one boat there, if I remember correctly, right?
There was the boat he took and the boat we took.
There was
only
a
one.
for two.
So
there were berths for two, but there was only one boat
for us to take, and we took the boat over.
So when we got to the warehouse, we went down through the warehouse, and at the warehouse there was a berth for two and only one. We took that one over with us. Was there not a second one that he rode over in?
There was not a second one in there.
Sweet. Then we stand there.
Johnny, check out Discord real quick. Louise, if you're watching, check out Discord real quick.
Oh my God! What, man? You're breaking the fourth wall. Stop it!
My immersion.
So Raymond's just going to look to Nyx. So I'm
okay. All right. That actually
to trade.
That absolutely makes sense to me. As long as she is okay with it, I am perfectly okay with that, and we'll have you describe that. Come on, Louise. Let us know.
No. So you're saying that the boat that we took over here is gone?
Yeah,
yes, because that would be the one that
He vanished with her.
Yeah, he can't fly.
He still crossed the water with it.
She's gonna sit there waiting for this fucker to come back. She's gonna pout. She's gonna pout until he comes back, saltier than the water. All right.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm just going to say that actually happens, given what else was messaging. So, Steam, why don't you go ahead and tell us what's happening here from a flashback perspective?
Okay, so with the flashback, Steam takes Sling down to the berth, realizes that there is only one boat. He takes her across, makes sure she's back in the lightning barrier, and then he returns for his friends.
With Nyx's mask.
I'm leaving that totally up to the flashback because believe me, apparently the other crew is hell-bent on keeping that sucker.
Of course they are. They feel like well, so what's interesting about this? I think let's take a step back for a second, and because
we never
it'll come into
forgot the mask. I mean, that's not.
Well, it's interesting though, because when she started on Thursday night and she was telling the story of what happened, she mentioned you all by name. It was beautiful. I was just cringing and laughing at the same time because it's like that's something that Nyx probably wouldn't have allowed to happen. He could have helped it. But anyways. All right. Well, she's going to be torn in two. So we're going to say that you Steam, we find you there waiting for them. You come back across. You cross back under the lightning barrier and find yourselves back in the city proper of Doskvol. When you get through the warehouse and the situation, the goat is still there. The carriage is still there. The person that was sitting at the table is still there. Are all there, not bugging you, not intentionally getting involved, with any interactions. And as you make your way outside,
They killed him.
They killed the one oh that's right. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That was
all of them.
He's still there. He hasn't been cleaned up.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah, he definitely. Everything you said was right. He's there, and he doesn't bother us at all. Mostly because he got stabbed in the neck.
All right. So he's the goat is still there, not moved. The carriage is still there, and you are able to exit the building cleanly. And we're going to call that the end of this circumstance. We'll call that the finishing of this particular score, whatever. Okay. And we'll drop right into downtime. Unless anybody has anything else that they want to do.
Nope.
Okay. All right. So we talked about payoff last time, right?
Yeah, we did everything except for
enjoy
heat and
your stay.
So heat from this perspective, heat's a special circumstance, and it's a special circumstance specifically because of the reason I was just highlighting while we were waiting for Louise. So while the majority of the operation or the score or the effort to get her to where she needed to be with Esther was very under the radar, she name dropped you guys. Sling name dropped you, having full memory of exactly everything that was going on. Yes, Reymond, I agree. Especially in
Ghosts and Hose isn't happening. We fucking helped you.
Especially when she name dropped Reymond and somebody else, Joff, as Wrath, recognized who you were, and also recognized the name because you're running for alderman of Crowsfoot.
Damn it.
So, to me, that sounds like it's a pretty significant amount of heat there. What does the table think?
I think I don't like Louise anymore.
I mean, she was cool when we were talking about goats and stuff, but not anymore.
Yep. Straight back to the Phantoms, yeah.
Can we put that demon back in her? Like, fuck her.
Well, what are we doing, guys? I mean.
Yeah, you guys. That's up to you guys.
Yeah.
It's significant enough that it's at least 2 heat specifically for the name drop of Reymond, because 2 different people reacted in 2 different ways. Wrath as a character reacted and said, "Yeah, I know that guy," and then I think it was Sky that also said, "Oh yeah, that's the alderman." So
it's good that they're already calling him alderman, so that's a plus.
I'm getting around more than OC's doing.
I appreciate your positivity.
Thanks for the vote.
I better be getting a vote.
You should have asked to be on the fucking council, bruh.
Taking my way.
I mean, I'll just give you a seat on the council when I rule the city. It'll be fine.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll get one.
Fucking brothels.
It seems now that you're the ventriloquist and I'm just your dummy.
That's pretty true.
Now?
Do you say that in the vote?
Pretty much.
Yeah, Nyx just sort of looks to everyone else and says, it seems like that now.
And he's going to take his mask off, chuck that to OC, and just look at Steam and go, yeah.
She's going to dry clean it before she uses it again. Yeah, I think it's... fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
They don't know the name Shroud, though. They just know our name.
Well, they know the team, though.
Yep.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. Steam took her to the barge where OC already was. I said, we're going to need everybody, and you 2 showed up.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
They know this isn't the first time.
Don't get the other 8 people we have on our team. We don't need them. Just
the other
2.
2. Just the 2, not the 20-some-odd homeless people. And the army of hookers. Don't get those.
I think it's bad, but I don't think it's that bad because if you think about it, we've all been seen together before in public.
Yeah.
They just haven't been paying attention because they're on the run.
at the gala.
First straight fight, all this sneaking around.
Yeah, at the gala. We ran a gala together.
Yeah.
Only one of us was missing. So, like, is it bad? Yeah, but, like, they do.
I mean,
Well, they didn't.
Yeah.
They did and they didn't, right? It's a circumstance where she name dropped every single one of you as a group together, right? And they can start to associate and cause more trouble for you in that respect.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean,
try.
It's tit for tat too, because I know them all too.
yeah.
yeah, you
Yes,
do.
that's
Yeah.
absolutely
Well, we all
right.
know all
But
of
this
them now
isn't.
because you
Tell
told
us the names.
Yeah, I would say
I
it's
want the
at
names,
least-
where they live.
It's at least 2, I would say.
It's at least 2 because of the reactions that happened when Reymond Bowerstone's name was dropped.
Yeah. Because, I mean, really, they've seen... A lot of people in the city have seen Nyx and Bowerstone together. Obviously, they know who Nyx is because they were hunting for Nyx because they identified me as the person who killed Clave, which
And they
means
know
they know
because
that
of
Nyx
Ari.
works with OC because that's how I killed Clave.
Yeah.
So it's they've had the final piece fall into place. So I think I wouldn't say more than 2, since everyone else who we interacted with already knew who we were.
Simple addition, really.
Okay, so 2 it is then for Heat.
It's all my fault.
Okay, so what does that make
You're
your
right.
wanted level at?
1.
Wanted level 1. And what is your actual heat at
1.
this point? All right. So that means we roll for entanglements and find out where the hell you guys end up.
Yep. Now you just have to roll 2 dice instead of 4 dice.
You are
Oh,
absolutely right.
Things were so simple once upon a time.
Things are never simple with you, let's be honest. Okay,
Yeah, but
great.
simple
No problem. This is cool. That actually works out really well.
And then
I
take
like
the
that.
less terrible one.
Oh, no, I know. It was still pretty significant, so
Okay.
I'll take it anyways.
Thanks, buddy.
Wait, why
Good
don't
job,
we do
guys.
this in chat? I don't like that you don't do it so we can't see it.
That's how it's been all season.
I don't like it.
Very deceitful.
All right. Actually, this is perfect. I'm gonna put it into play almost immediately. This is good.
Oh.
All right. So with that, you guys have your payoff. You've got your heat. Entanglements are going to be coming into play shortly. Let's talk about dime time actions. Now, there is a very special set of circumstances that I think might make this the right time to do this. So I'm going to have the Rook Network get in contact with Nyx before you guys all take downtime actions, so you can kind of get a handle on what you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we have our carriage, like one of the carriages from the stolen carriages, is parked outside of this warehouse. So I assume we'd be traveling back in that same carriage, and we have to go all the way back from White Cross to Six Towers. So
Yep.
at any point in
absolutely.
time, anyone can grab us and be like, "Hey,
Absolutely.
sir."
Okay, so a couple of things will get brought to you immediately when you talk to the Rook Network. The first thing that gets brought to you is the news that Horace Keel was killed in the conflict at the Opera House. Wait, Slade, did you not watch the other shows?
Hey,
They found this
Slade.
out last week.
Surprise!
Wait, what? Found what out?
You're running unopposed.
So Horace Keel died at the event in the Opera House. Circumstances are it is rumored that he was killed by Skovlanders who were there to rile up conflict at a private gathering at the Opera House. And that's the way that the event is being described as a private gathering, a private undisclosed gathering. Second thing that comes out specifically about that is that his sister, Tabitha Keel, has put a reward out for the heads of any Skovland refugees who have been stirring up trouble, dead or alive. And then the third thing that comes along with all of this is that there appears to be a little bit of a disturbance going on around Crowsfoot. Information has finally gotten to you that the Imperial Army that has been basically occupying with Crowsfoot as a lockdown in martial law, one of your contacts has come up with the news that it turns out that they're looking for somebody very specific.
The Imperial Guard.
The Imperial Guard and the Bluecoats that have Crowsfoot locked down. They're looking for somebody very specific out there, matching a description that sounds incredibly like the Bower Bomb.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, it gets better. So with those 3 pieces of information, I am going to pass it along to you guys for downtime actions. What do you guys want to do first?
So I think before we do downtime, I think everyone has to assemble the team at Eden. I mean, I assume that's where we're bringing the cart anyway, is back to Eden, and I assume that's kind of where this conversation happens. Is like everyone gets out of the cart, and then someone sort of comes up and grabs Nyx, and then so he's like one of the last ones to walk in, unless Steam's doing his invisible thing and listening.
Off to in one corner at Eden, you notice a young figure just kind of in prayer, just kind of kneeling there.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
I think it's a church or something. Fuck off.
I mean,
what, you didn't watch last night's show, Slade?
it is a church.
All right, keep going. Let's just keep this train going.
I'm sorry.
It's the ancestor,
God
man.
damn it.
It is the ancestor.
If it helps at all, his
Patrick.
God doesn't answer him. So
This is Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a pretty,
go.
you're
couple of
real
pretty shitty
dumb,
rolls
Slade.
for
You
him.
gotta
last
fucking.
night,
God damn it.
It's go time.
Yeah. So this is the first. Is this the first time Nyx has seen him here? Because Nyx probably spends the most time out of anyone in Eden.
Based on the conversation that I had with Patrick afterwards about the ancestor, it would be infrequent, but it would not be the first time, right? This would be something that his character would do on occasion, probably picks a couple of different, abandoned locations trying to reach his god.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past, he wouldn't have caused any problems, caused any disturbances. It just would have been somebody that you would have noted as, well, it's kind of unusual that kid's praying there.
What is he dressed like? Is he dressed like an average, blue collar guy? He's not just like a homeless guy. He's not just like a upper class,
So my understanding, based upon what the description that Patrick gave us during the first episode, is that, yeah, it's very much a blue collar outfit. The kind of thing that you would typically see as somebody like a dock worker or somebody who, was a tradesman of some kind. I will get him to clarify so that the next time that it comes up or becomes a question, currently we're trying to get them to all get their pictures together so that there's a better representation of them and what they look like. So, but yeah, from what?
Can I approach him?
No, you may not approach him because he's leaving as you.
Is he?
Yes, he is. He's a new character, Slade. You can't kill him yet.
Yeah, if he's leaving, that's fine. Nyx was going to ask him to leave.
We've got a threat priority list, and he's down here.
Vote for Reymond, though. That's all I'm going to say to him. Grab his hand.
The other team's also down here, but the rest of the City Watch is up here now.
Right.
Yeah. Nyx was gonna ask him to leave, but if he gets up and begins to leave as we walk in, that's fine. So yeah, Nyx is one of the last people to go into Eden, and once he sees that this guy's gone, he'll proceed to the back room and go down the stairs. And he kind of walks into the sitting room that we have. Assuming everyone else is already there. And he kind of looks at OC, sort of this awkward knowing glance about what just happened. He says, well, there appear to be a few things that need discussing. First of which is this, and he drops the Codex Noctum on the table in front of everybody. And then he hands the rolled up scroll to OC and says, and this as well, I believe you had some minor interest in this place. And it's a scroll that depicts the crematorium. And Nyx begins to explain everything that happened at the gala. And for Expedition, I posted it in Discord, and everyone can just go look at that.
She's ignoring him and drinking because she already knows.
That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Johnny, can we I'm sorry to interrupt you, man, but I just wanted, just for narrative's sake, can we say that like Steam comes in like during this discussion after he had just dropped off or left Sling? That way we can kind of close that side of it.
He got us back to the boat, and then he went and took her and did his thing while we got the carriage and left.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's like, we're hand waving how time works here. So eventually, you would have gotten back to it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd be there while Nyx is basically going over what happened. He tells you about the Red Dwarf saving the man in white, fighting everybody. He makes a pointed comment to Slade, to Bowerstone, about the death of Horace Keel and the rumors that it is Scovlanders. And he basically looks to you and says, I know for a fact it was not Scovlanders, and this is something you need to capitalize on. If they are headhunting for no reason, why best not come off as the hero of the Scoves.
Yes, but if I'm getting votes from people that are dying, it's a dead vote.
Yes, well, the point is to not let them die. That's what heroes do.
Yeah, I think we're not that.
She's got a drink in her hand, waving around the mask.
Yeah. And when you do that, he looks to that and says, "Oh, and that you have, groupies.
Excuse me?
Someone else is wearing your mask."
Oh, for fuck's.
Yes. No. Proper response. It's becoming an issue.
Peer limitations.
Was there a symbol with them,
I
or was it just someone?
Matching your description, build, style of attack, or lack thereof, black uniform, mask, operating in Crowsfoot.
He was very specific where I got that, and trained.
It was very specific, the places you used it as well. And whom
I'll sort this out. I'll sort this out personally.
Please.
Do you need this?
It's the bottom versus bottom.
Can't be two bottoms.
The fight for the power bee.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
And Nyx kind of looks to Steam and says, I assume that we're good with your sister.
I'm sure.
And my mask?
I would say that it would be arriving.
Damn it.
Let's be honest, I don't think they're going to cause us any troubles.
Okay. Well, that was unexpected. Well, that's all I have for you. We now have 3 of the 4 books. Knowledge of the 4th. And when we return all 4 to this Chaos character, he has promised me control of the city.
Do you need me to look after the books?
I don't think they should all be in one place.
Scattered around?
One is in your house. One is here. One is here.
It's
points to the other one.
It's not in his house. It's in our lair.
Yeah.
We transferred it.
Okay. And one is, I believe, in Crowsfoot.
OC is going to look to Steam. I know you've been building an army of us. I may have an addition. And also someone who can help translate the books. He's an old friend.
Then it is, I look forward to meeting him.
We'll go pay him a visit together.
Lead the way.
And then downtime. Boom.
Boom. All right. So who's going first?
I'll go real quick. She is going to go to the barge, whether or not Steam comes with her, and train.
Gross. Okay. What are you going to train?
Well, now we're going to train in swords.
Yeah.
All right. So
I just got my third
you train
point in
prowess or
skirmish.
whatever?
Listen, gross. Are you kidding? It's 2 gods, for fuck's sake.
No,
Boom,
that's what
God
we're worried about, the
babies.
fuck's sake.
The fuck's sake.
There were lots of requests for a kiss last week, or I think it was last week. So you mean you guys might want to
Write some
accommodate at some
fanfic.
point, but
That's
huh?
Yeah,
Get
speaking
it
of
from
guys,
your
yeah,
fanfic.
we're doing a Blades and Dark giveaway. All art is welcome. You guys can make a
Like that
fanfic.
segue?
You can make fanfic art. You can make fanfic stories. You can write a poem or a song about the fuck's sake, which is the name of the barge now. And you can submit that for a chance to win a copy of the Blades and Dark book.
So she is also going to train in. Would it be attune for just studying the books?
Yeah. So that would be insight, I believe, is the
Resolve?
attribute. Or resolve.
Study.
Sorry.
Study or resolve?
Well, so it depends on how you're going to approach studying it. Are you going to read the material that's in the books, or are you going to try to attune in order to see what's actually documented in there?
She doesn't know what she's doing, but she's going to try to attune based on growing up around,
Absolutely right. So you would definitely have some experience. So I guess it would be not insight. What are the other one is?
Resolve. On the other hand, Lauren, we know that the mundane writing in the book is also relevant. So that would be study, but then the magical writing would be attune.
Yeah, no, so I'm saying
depends
it
on
would
what
be
you wanna
attune.
do. Okay.
Going for attune. So I have one.
Like, we know that one of the books was owned by the Bowerstone family, so the other books might have some other noble relevance.
Okay.
But
Those are her two things. That's all she's got.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want to you want to spend some coin or rep and do an additional downtime action?
Because it's one coin, right?
It's 1 coin or rep. Either
I'll
way.
take my coin away and roll for my vice.
Okay, all right, that works.
This went really well last time, guys.
Well, so what's your stress at this time?
It's 5.
Okay, good. There's a very slim chance that you're going
It
to
is.
overindulge. Do it. Do it.
And you overindulge. Wow.
Okay, so in order to deal with the overindulgence here, I'm first going to ask you, what is it that exactly you're going to do to indulge your vice? Because as we've talked about in the past with you, Nye was pretty closely tied to that circumstance. She is currently at the Dimmer Sisters, and what you did was you went and kind of took a hit off of steam here.
That was for his vice in my defense, not mine.
Right, but it was still pretty significant. What are you doing now to indulge your vice this particular time?
She would be visiting her establishment, checking in on business, and then...
that doesn't sound like it would be all that indulging.
She's not participating. She's watching.
Okay.
She doesn't feel like she deserves to because Nye is still dying.
Okay.
So it's frustrated overindulgence.
I was going to...
Blue ovaries.
Okay. So... I'm going to open this up to the table because the overindulgence is not direct. The overindulgence is not directly related to, or the available options for overindulgence as a description don't directly relate to what she's talking about in respect to how she's indulging her vice. Does anybody have any thoughts on what would be a way to connect it? Or shall we introduce a different circumstance or consequence because of the overindulgence?
When I overindulged last time, just for clarification,
Absolutely.
when I did it last time, it was someone saw Steam and I training.
That is
which
correct.
Still has yet to be, there's talks, but it's still to be dealt with.
That is correct. That's still moving on in the background. So this is a separate circumstance.
Can I not use that anymore to indulge my vice?
Training?
No, I'm talking about this time.
You're talking about watching?
I can't do that anymore.
So I was afraid. The reason I was afraid of suggesting that, and I'll tell you the whole, because the act of pleasure has been so tied close to what it is that you're doing in respecting your indulging your vice. So I'm concerned that if we start to if we say, okay, so you're starting to be tapped in this respect, so you can no longer watch.
Or with any other person.
It switches to lore.
So it switches to drug use
because
instead of
fucking eyeballs.
Yeah, that could be her punishment.
Fuck you, Steve. I thought you were on my side.
No, I'm saying, man.
I thought about that as a different.
Steve's looking to get laid. What are you talking about here? Jeez, keep up with the times, lady.
Why not both? Why not Zoidberg?
Okay, so I'm okay with it being something where voyeurism is no longer a part of the pleasure, that you have to actually actively engage. If you want to eliminate pleasure, so if you want to eliminate sex or sexual acts as
completely, then no, because
I'm not about that yet.
That's her only vice. I meant from the perspective of being in that environment is now she's numb to it.
She needs intimacy.
She needs physical intimacy.
Listen, bruh, she's been gone for a while.
The act of
voyeurism. Steam, fuck no.
I'm saying not. Never mind. I'm done.
I know. I got you. I know what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out something that doesn't screw up.
Just kill my character. I just want to get out of this conversation.
It's a good conversation.
All right. Again. So what are we specifically saying that you're tapped out from? Voyeurism?
Or any other thing that's not like
intimate contact.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We're just gonna labor voyeurism, and now that's a situation where, even though you've eliminated your stress, you no longer can use voyeurism as a means for indulging. And so just note that on your sheet so that you make sure that you're aware of it the next time.
That's already a fact, Speedy.
That was brutal. That was so brutal. Okay. All right. So do you want to spend a coin or a rep and do another one?
No, I sure fucking don't.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next, guys?
Steve, you had some stuff, didn't you? Or Bowerstone? You're muted.
I'm good. I have 2 I can do. I was going to train in prowess.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Yep.
Why are you even talking to me about it? I don't even know.
Right. I'll just fill that up and give myself another pip. No.
Yeah, whatever.
Thank you, man.
All right. So
I'll basically couple that one off of the training I did with OC.
Okay.
So we trained together, and we. The other one I want to do is on the barge. I want to continue my long-term project of getting the barge up and running.
Okay, so the demonic barge was a 6-segment clock, and you are halfway through that. Previously, you have spent time in the ghost field, kind of just establishing each of the stations, in the ghost field, just kind of the way that you're honoring, and you've established 3 of these stations essentially. What are you doing to moving forward now? That's going to be we're working towards completing this project.
Well, basically, at this point, having identified 3 members of the Pantheon, himself included, he is in the ghost field above each of these altars or icons. Above those, he's writing in the exploits of each, for lack of a better term. Going through, and for OC, he's writing in the events that he has witnessed. For Slaying, he's doing the same thing. And he's beginning the process of creating the hub or the base for 5 other of these pedestals spread throughout the upper level of the barge.
Damn, God Squad's big.
There are 8 forgotten gods.
Shit. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay, so then I'm assuming that this is going to be in a tune roll of some kind?
Yeah, I think last time I did a tune, and
right.
I don't know what else I can do for this. I forget for downtime action what I can. I know there's no position and there's no
position and no effect. You can push yourself or take a devil's bargain. You can also no. I don't think assist makes sense in this particular case.
No, that's totally him. I'm going to go ahead and do a straight roll with just my tune. And
okay, sounds great.
2 4s.
All right, so 2 4s still means that you progress 2 segments. So it's a 6-segment clock. You've already progressed 3. You're going to progress another 2. The next time you commit a downtime action to do this long-term project, you will complete it, and we'll have you describe what that completion is.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So, with that in mind, do you want to take another downtime action at this point, or spend some coin or rep and do that, or do you want to just move on?
I actually think I am going to spend 1 coin, and I'm going to train Attune or train Resolve as well. I know I can't do Prowess again, so I can do Resolve.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically OC and I could have been training both of those things, I guess, together.
Okay, cool. All right. And that's it? You done? Okay. Who's next?
Bowerstone?
All right. Well, the Horus Kill progression clock is fucking useless now.
Is it?
Sure, because the whole thing of there was I wanted blackmail on him.
Right, but he's dead, and it was revealed that his sister was involved. What did you learn about Horus Kill
I remember the first thing I learned was he's not who he appears to be.
That's correct.
He's not an official member of the Horus Kill family.
Of the Kiel noble family.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. So, what did you learn the second time?
That was the second thing. The first one was he's not who he says he is. The second time was he's not an official member of the Kiel family.
Of the Kiel family. Okay. Are you sure that that's not something that could also produce more results, more information?
It could.
Because the one thing that they told you was that they were assembling all the details.
We'll do it live. Okay. Fuck it.
All right.
For that, I'm going to go. I mean, it just gets completed anyway. 1 segment.
Yeah,
left.
it gets completed, right? So basically, you re-engage your friends from the past, ask them for more details. You learn not only that Horus Kiel wasn't who he says he was, wasn't a member of the Kiel family, that he was actually a puppet for the Kiel family, and specifically Tabitha Kiel, somebody that she had hired and established in an attempt to exert power and authority without revealing her position. Basically like a mastermind or a manipulator. Because there were transaction records or, there were records of money being exchanged between Tabitha Kiel and this person that you know as Horus Kiel. The actual name of this particular person is not, it's not found in anything that they're looking for, but everything that they seem to indicate is this was some person that she picked up off the street and had propped up.
Great. So the puppets are running for alderman.
Well, other things that you learn about it is that Horus Kiel was actually somebody who, the presentation of Horus Kiel, the circumstances around Skavlanders, you actually find out that he was somebody who had a what do you call it? Already had a disposition specifically against the Skavlanders, would pick fights in bars and other gatherings with any Skavlander. Basically had a hatred because he used to claim members of his family when he was drunk. He used to claim members of his family were killed in the Unity War, fighting in Skavland. So he had an intense hatred of Skavlanders, and it sounds like Tabitha Kiel took advantage of that, and she was able to clean him up enough and make him presentable as an actual potential position for alderman. The true intentions behind what she was planning to do sounds like if there was a problem with Horus, that she would step up and actually run against anybody else.
Okay, so she's going to be the next opponent. Great. Okay. Run that down, that'll be interesting.
Right. So, that is the completion of your first downtime action.
Yeah, so for the second one, I've got to start a new clock. and finding out who this other lunatic is running around town.
Which lunatic?
The other vigilante.
Okay. So how do you want to proceed by doing that?
Well, the first thing that he's going to be doing is he's going to be asking them directly, because he's conversing with the people that he trained alongside with the group, and he's asking, is this a member of your organization?
So I will give you the answer to that without it actually being a progress clock, but it'll eat up your second downtime action, the information that you get.
That's fine. I might spend a coin eventually and get a third.
All right, sounds good. So, no, that particular person is not. It's not somebody that anybody recognizes from being on the street. In fact, the outfit and the demeanor of the person is not in any way, shape, or form related to any of their quote-unquote organization or their training methods. That person is dressed, while similar in a lot of ways, very different. Not wearing a mask, actually wearing a hood and essentially a half mask that covers the lower side of the face. Activities have included vigilantism, though, in an aggressive way, focusing on protecting women and children.
Okay. Fuck. Okay. That's a wild goose chase now.
Okay, so do you want to spend a coin for a third downtime action?
Yeah, I'll spend one coin. And that is to actually make a progress clock now of getting them to figure out who the hell, more information on who the hell this other vigilante is.
Okay, so I will... How would you go about doing that? Does that mean that you're going to go to Crow's Foot and investigate the situation, and we're going to treat that as a long-term project?
Should I investigate? I think, you know what, I'm going to reluctantly put on the mask and search this one.
Okay,
with
so
their help.
Okay, so why don't we call that a free play or like investigation kind of a thing? Especially given what happened on the Tuesday show last night and the circumstances that they ended the show with. So it probably would not behoove you to use a long-term project.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. What could the Tuesday crew possibly have done?
All right. Do you want to take a third time downtime action, though, of any kind?
No. I mean, if it's not going to... No, we'll just move on to Nick's.
How's your stress? Just out of curiosity.
My stress is fine.
Okay,
It's
just making
fine.
sure. Okay, great.
His stress or his scarred emotional state?
My trauma is through the roof, but stress is fine.
Okay.
His fragile mental state. Johnny, that demon text, could you change that to say Codex Umbra? Since now we have 3 of the 4 books, and that was researched specifically for that one book. So I'm going to take my 3 downtime actions, and I'm going to spend a coin on another one. The first of them is to... actually, I might spend 2 coin. The first of my downtime actions is I'm going to do a long-term project, and I'm going to research the Codex Diablo.
Okay, and how are you going to go about doing that?
So, Nyx has recently learned how to attune. He's learned to brute force his way into the ghost field. So
do you actually have a rating, and do you have a pip in attune yet?
I have 2 pips.
Oh.
I have 2 pips. I've been slowly sneaking that in there on downtimes. Yeah, so the Codex Diablo is kept in Eden, so he is going to, knife in hand, he is going to research that book. So let's see what happens there. I'll give you a nice attune roll. Is there a position and all that goodness on this? Or is it
Nope.
it's a clock? So
Yep.
nothing. No bonus die. Unless the dagger gives me a bonus die.
Nope.
Okay. Then here we go. A 3.
All right, so that is one segment in the 8-segment clock that it is. That is the Codex Diablo. Now, when you attune, how do you? I mean, saying you attune is like, okay, I just jump into the ghost field and I start looking at it. But what does that actually mean, though?
So as previously, he essentially rips his way into the ghost field.
Sure, but what are you looking at specifically? How are you approaching this? Because one of the things that was talked about with the Codex Umbra is while there is the back page that is the demon text, it's all in bright red, right? Yeah. And then there was the two other sets of text, right? There was the actual secret ledger text, all kind of written through, and then there was the notes off to the side,
right?
What do you? I mean, so when you look at the Codex Diaboli, when you open it up, it is a book filled with diagrams and writings in different languages about rituals.
Now,
how are you? What are you doing to study that?
The normal book itself is that? What's the mundane book?
That's what the mundane book is.
Okay, so it's all demonic rituals.
Well, it's all rituals, related to demonic summoning, talking about different types of demons. But it's a very old book, right? It's kind of it's just filled with all of this text relating to it, but it's all mundane stuff and in various languages, right? It's not all written in the common language of Akaros.
Yeah. So yeah, he doesn't really care about that. He knows what, like, he briefly opens it. Actually, this is the second or third time he's opened it and looked at it, so he would know that much. But he also knows he was shown the alternate writing in the book when Vale was around, and then when he just received the Codex Noctum, when it was handed to him, it glowed as if had demonic presence in it. So he immediately attunes and looks for that. So he's flipping through the pages and he's looking for this red text, this blue text, this purple text.
So you see the red text of the page at the back, right? And when you did the research previously, or you had somebody do the research for you, looking at the Codex Diablo text, you realized that it was one part of a number of parts, right? And this represents the second part, and it's got the same level of weird symbols and kind of things all in red that you saw briefly when KS held it, you saw the same thing going on with the book, the third codex that you got, specifically, with the back and stuff. Okay, so as you dig in, you realize, stepping away from the codex, the red text in the back, there is purple text throughout the rest of the book, written over, and you discover that it appears to be the journal of a demon, chronicling events, at least as you start to read it at the beginning, chronicling events prior to the cataclysm, because the date seems off. And when you do a little bit of research and look at the date represents a date that used to be recognized prior to the cataclysm.
Okay, interesting. He's going to continue to delve into that eventually. My second down in action is I'm going to do essentially the exact same thing, but for the Codex Noctum.
Okay. So go ahead and roll that.
Come on, sixes. Another 3.
Okay, so that's going to give you the same level of start. It's going to be 1 segment. Very much the same experience. Looking at the Codex Noctum, at first it appears to be written as sort of a naturalist kind of a book, right? It's documenting, when you look at the actual text in the book of itself, it represents life. It represents a cataloging of different species of plants and animals, things that you have never ever seen before or even heard in tales, but incredibly tall, beautiful willowy trees and tall pines and trees that look almost vaguely like what you would have seen in the Dagger Isles had they been grown up in the sun, jungle-esque types of trees that were not gnarled and manipulated by the dark energies of, spirits and ghosts and demons, but stuff that, that used to be beautiful and grand and full of life, described with colors that don't even necessarily make sense to you. And when you try to visualize them, except in the vision that the one demon gave to you. Mm-hmm. And you see various, documenting, different types of what would be called, biomes or regions, and the color in life, the desert region, a forest region, a typical forest kind of region, a jungle, even little bits and pieces of document talking about water, the oceans and, rivers, just all of this stuff. And it's fascinating, but it has no relevance for you, it has no matter. And so when you dip into the ghost field, what you see is something completely the opposite. It's all about death. It's all about ghosts. It is all about the dead and the circumstances of being dead and the mythology, and the stories that were told about what happens in the afterlife. Right. And so there's just a wealth of information here for you, but it's just overwhelming. But the first thing that you see, is a pre-cataclysmic legend about, the afterlife and what it means to go to a place, the green fields is what it's called.
And what color is the text in the ghost field?
It is purple.
Okay. And purple we established was Leviathan and something else?
Leviathan blood. So no, it was blue text was spectral energy.
Yep.
Purple text was Leviathan blood, and red text was demon blood.
Okay.
Was specifically a different type of demon, because the assumption is that Leviathans are actually demons as well. So.
Okay, cool. So those are two of his downtime actions. The third downtime action is he's going to go discuss things with his Imperial Guard cohort, which I think you gave me a name for him. He's going to go talk to him. He's going to go talk to him, basically he's going to, be concerned with the recent death of Horace Keel. He's going to send uplifting messages that in this time of need, at least we have Reymond Bowerstone to fall back on. It's unfortunate that his megalomaniacal rhetoric is what brought the Scovlanders into an uprise. Hopefully, under the guidance of Reymond Bowerstone, that we can quell these fires of war, etc., etc. And I'm basically just going to try to turn him to the cause.
Right, and so that was a 6-segment clock, and you've got 2 segments on him already. Mm-hmm. So, and so is this a sway or is this a consort circumstance?
This is a sway. I'm still trying to charm him into it's as if when a CIA agent sort of turns one of their assets. He's unknowingly just going to want to tell me more information about this mystery man that they're hunting, the goings-on in Crowsfoot that I may or may not be privy to. It would definitely be a sway.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and roll that?
6.
Wow. Okay. So that is 3 pips for you. Or, I'm sorry. It's 3. So the next time that you actually do this, you will basically be completing him, and he will become a cohort for you.
Okay.
I don't remember. I think he's a level 2 cohort.
He is a level 2
or level 2 asset.
Level 2 asset.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
So I would be doing this on my way into Crowsfoot, because he's kind of given me access before. Also, we own a bar there.
Right.
So I sort of have limited access to Crowsfoot, but I would be discussing with him and glad-handing as he's kind of escorting me through the barricade. And once through the barricade, I will be spending one of my coins to take another downtime action, and I'm going to find Needle. Good.
Okay, hold on just one second. Before you get to your next downtime action, one of the pieces of information... So I have a quick question for Reymond, real quick. Did you share any of the details of about Horace Keel with Nyx when you did your downtime action?
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
Sure.
Did you share all of it?
Yeah, even the parts about the sister. Yep.
Okay. So your Imperial cohort, this foot soldier, this private, would give you 2 pieces of information because you got a 6. And because this is something you're working towards in respect to an asset, you're passing him coin, you're buttering him up for for Alderman Bowerstone, et cetera, he'll give you 2 bits of information that will add to what Reymond was getting into in respect to Tabitha Keel. Number 1, she is spending a fair amount of time frequenting, having conversations with Imperial officers, and this was noted. He had noted this, but he hadn't seen you. He noted this before the event that happened in Brightstone, but he hadn't seen you until now to give you that piece of information, because he know that would be important to Reymond Bowerstone in his quest for alderman. The second bit of information is that it is rumored that the masked vigilante that they're seeking may have some relation to Tabitha Keel as well.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. So yeah, he thanks him kindly for that, and he hands him a few more pamphlets about the plans for, the Bowerstone campaign, things for him to hand out to, the other lower enlisted members. And then once free of the Imperial Guard, he's going to go and find Needle.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
And so this is your 3rd downtime action.
This is my 4th.
And you're paying it. Wait, sorry. Codex Umbro Codes. Okay, you're right.
Yep.
4th. Okay, so now you're paying.
Yep.
What are you doing specifically with Needle?
So Needle has a new job. It's been a few weeks, if not a month or so, since Nyx has called on him. So Nyx basically he has a meeting with him, maybe in the tavern we own. Actually, you know what? Definitely, I think in the tavern that we own.
What was the name? What was the name of the tavern that you guys had
the
established?
Gallows Respite.
Coats
Gallows
and
Respite.
toes.
Nope, the Gallows Respite is what it is. Because I believe meeting there gives us something. It gives us +1 to consort and sway. Cool. So I would assume this is a kind of a consort thing. But he is going to request Needle's assistance. Stating that he knows this is a difficult task for him, given his affiliation to the person. But I need to know where to find Marek.
Okay, and so you're asking him to bring you more information about that?
I need him to either tell me where Marek can be found or set up a meeting where I can have Marek alone.
Okay, so is this a long-term project then?
You tell me. I thought this would be acquire an asset to find his location. I'm not sure what this would stand for.
Okay, so it could be either or. Both have their narrative advantages from a mechanical perspective. One would be if you were going after Mark, or you were going after anything that Mark had. That information as an asset would probably give you a little bit more about the circumstances of where you would find him. Details about the layout and all that stuff. The flip side is if you treat it as a long-term project, you'll probably get more information, just from a narrative perspective. But I think that asset's probably the way to go.
Okay.
This, right?
Yeah. So then it would be an asset then. Basically, he wants to either have a meeting set for them, or give me a time and location when he will be alone or with you.
So apparently, it's Marek. According to according to Speedy, it is Marek.
It is Marek.
And I'm just going to let Speedy know right now. Hey, Speedy, you and I have to talk about where Marek is and the book after this session. So, okay. So go ahead and let's roll that as a fortune roll.
Sure.
Sorry, no, it's not a fortune roll. But it's your tier. So
is it?
It's a tier
roll.
roll.
Yeah, right. Because I'm rolling for. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Where the hell is that? Oh my gosh.
Filthy Dagger Islanders don't know how to pronounce Aruvian names. That's a fair point.
That is a fair point. Bonus dice.
I don't know. Is there bonus dice in this?
I'm not sure. So I'm using one of my cohorts to do so, to find a new asset. And I'm not sure if you want to use my consort roll to roll in there. And we're doing it on a tavern we own that normally gives us bonus to consort rolls.
All right. I'll tell you what. Let's call it 1 bonus die to your tier roll because of the location and because that he's essentially a cohort at this point. So yeah, okay. Let's just call it that.
3.
Okay. So I believe that is one tier lower. You guys are tier 3 now, if I remember correctly, with a weak hold. So that means you're a tier 2. It's a tier 2 asset. And that asset or information specifically relates to the location of Marik and the circumstances in which you can find him easily. But it's a little bit vague in that you've got a general location, but not all of the details, like, what's the lay of the building, how many people are going to be in there, kind of a thing, right?
Okay. Can I raise the tier with coin?
So according to what I read here, you may spend coin to bump the result beyond exceptional, which is a crit.
Mm-hmm.
So to reach a higher quality of tiers, but it costs 2 per level. You did not crit on this.
Okay.
So according to
crit. Okay.
Yeah, it only works on a crit.
Okay. Then in that case, that's it. That's all I do.
So that's 4. You said you had a potential 5th?
I did have a potential 5th, but I think it doesn't matter at this point. We'll do that one next time. I think it's irrelevant to this one.
Okay.
So yeah, I take this information back to Eden.
All right, fair enough. And that moves us into free play.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys want to proceed moving forward?
OC has something to do, but it's going to take a while. So if you guys want to go first, she can wait.
This is probably a perfect opportunity to do what you're thinking of doing.
Fuck you guys. I'm going to see Nye. You guys are cool and all, but fuck you.
How are your blue ovaries?
Ooh.
We're about to find out if we're getting any better.
Your spectral
Wow.
ovaries? Okay. Cool.
Ovaries.
Do you take anybody with you?
I'm going to have Steam escort me like he did last time and wait outside, if he wouldn't mind.
He just wants you to breathe in his essence.
No, you
He's
keep
looking
those
for a
goggles
hookup.
on. I need my head clear for this, man. You stay on the other side of the carriage.
Do you make it aware that you're going?
No.
Okay.
You guys don't fucking tell me about your comings and goings. I just fucking I do whatever I'm doing.
I do what I want.
Conceivably,
Okay.
we could leave from the barge too, like right after training or something.
Yeah. While you were doing your thing on the barge, she would probably have gone to the brothel. She'll come back and get you though.
Yeah, she looks a little ragged after returning to you.
A little
Sweaty.
frustrated. Nah.
More than a little frustrated.
Nah, just a little frustrated.
Okay.
Steam says nothing.
All right, so you're going to the Demmer Sisters, correct?
Yes.
And are you bringing anything with you? Are you? I mean,
Nope.
is there anything that you're going to do to prepare to go and make this visit? Is that a no or yes?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
The vials that I took from a while ago from
The veil.
yeah. Can I bring those with me? That's not an asset for the group, right? It's just something that I took on my own.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, it wasn't an asset, period.
Yeah, it's something
Okay.
you can definitely bring to them if you want.
That's all I got.
Okay. So we're just going to cut right to you walking into the door. Again, the foyer is incredibly quiet, except for the random sort of wailing and screams coming from the upstairs. It's dimly lighted, mostly candles and oil burning lamps of various kinds. Other than that, there is not much to say or to see in respect to what's going on in the foyer. You see that where you typically go into the study, the door is currently closed, and that typically means that there is either a session or a client is there, that kind of a thing. And so you wait for a bit. Do you do the same thing that you did before, where you disrobed and did the whole thing, or was that just for that one benefit of Steam's?
She will have done this at the brothel before she left.
Okay. All right. So, you wait a little bit of time, and eventually the door opens. You see a young woman in her teens leaving. stepping out the door, and you realize that this is one of the new recruits that they brought into the fold, who is going off to do a service. And you would know that that's typically delivery, or some sort of conveying of information or that kind of thing. But it's essentially more of a spectral or cult version of that. And as she steps out, Rosalind is at the door looking at you and says, "Well, we didn't expect you to see you back so soon."
It's been a few days. Is there any progress?
She shakes her head, and you know that there's been a change of circumstance based on the way that she shakes her head. She looks you directly in the eyes and says, "She's not here." And she beckons you in and offers you tea and asks you to sit down.
She will do so.
The vessel you brought us is still here. She's upstairs. She's diminished. But somewhere in the night, Nye did the unthinkable. She took another of your sisters and left. A beautiful vessel she chose. One that we had been grooming, much like we wanted to groom you for. But alas, she's gone.
Is she in the same state that I left her in?
When she finally awoke and we spoke to her, and the sister did what she needed to do to provide care, she didn't know us. She didn't recognize us. The mention of your name also did not draw any recognition. At this point, we are concerned because this is something we've never experienced before. And she looks down at her hands for just a second, and you can see that she's uncomfortable. And she looks back up and she says, "And we may have to do something that we don't want to do."
She has always found me. We split up. She helps me. We're together. She leaves and she finds me. I will find her. And if you plan on doing what I think it is, you can't have her. And she's going to stand up and leave.
Leaving so soon? Don't want to talk about the circumstances in the Lost District.
You asked me to do something and I did it. There was a complication and we dealt with it.
Are we calling this our relationship at an end then?
It depends.
Because
what are you asking of me?
you've done everything that we've asked of you. But if you cannot deal with the consequences of your own actions, and you are going against our intentions.
Is fixing her not part of your intention? Is she still not a valuable asset if she can be fixed?
She is an unknown quantity.
So is the man in white, and I've seen him.
That is a separate circumstance here. We are talking about Nye.
So when he asked me if I would help him and he would give me something, would he not have given me Nye?
Child, I have not been with the sisters for very long. But I know that those who promise gifts rarely deliver.
What was your quarrel with the man in white?
We are speaking about Nye here.
She's not here.
Sorry, Slade. Don't do that, Slade. Swear to God. We will find her again. We know the vessel. We've had rumors about where that vessel might be.
And you don't think that I can bring her back? As I did this last time.
She is an unknown quantity. She does not recognize you.
Where is she?
She does not recognize us. She does not recognize her circumstance or situation.
Where is she? I can bring her back.
She looks uncomfortable again. And she says she's in the body of a young, athletic woman. Brilliant red hair. And she has been seen in Crowsfoot.
I'll do what I can. And she'll walk back over, put everything that she brought as a gift, thinking that Nye was okay, on the table. Sort of bow and leave.
At that, as the door closes, you hear a little bit of mumbling as you collect yourself as the door closes behind you before stepping out of the foyer and out into the night. And you hear Rosalind's voice, muffled, but significant enough, or at least enunciated enough that you're actually able to make out what she's saying. And you hear her say, "We may have a problem." And so you exit. Where do you go from there? Or do we cut back to the rest of the crew?
She's going to walk outside and talk to Steam, but
okay.
It's half of it's coming out making sense, the other half isn't. And we have to find her. They lost her. My dealings with them are done. For now. For the foreseeable future. For me. I ask them one thing in my entire life. They train me. They take me in. I asked them for one thing and they lost her. We have to destroy her or help her.
Then we ought to find her.
I know where to start.
Where?
Crowsfoot. She doesn't know who she is anymore. She doesn't know what she is.
I can find her if I see her, so can you.
I think she's causing problems in Crowsfoot.
Then she shouldn't be too hard to find.
And then she's going to get in the carriage and go.
Okay. And so we're cutting to what, guys? Where do we find you all next? Or where do we find, who wants to go next in respect to wanting to get things done?
If no one's doing anything else, I assume we'd find everyone back at Eden.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you guys enter together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I walk in, so it's up to Steam.
Yeah, he's with her.
Bowerstone, what are you doing?
So he's going to be there, but he's geared up.
In the sense that
everything but the mask.
Okay.
Everything but.
You're in the full bomb, huh?
He's going the full Wayne in the Batcave, like all the way up to here, but no cow.
Yeah. Nyx just kind of laughs whenever he sees you. But he will divulge the information that that Horace Keel's sister has been meeting with Imperial officers, basically all this stuff. And he also kind of... once everyone's there, he motions towards the room where the other two books are in, and he says, Steam, if I could have a moment of your time. There was something about returning a favor for helping your sister.
Lead the way.
So he leads you, and anyone can follow if you guys want to. He leads you into that room, and he begins to divulge what he found out about the Codex Diablo and Codex Noctum. And you see them both sitting there on the desk that he was researching at, with the Bane blade next to it. And he says, our previous agreement was that you would have access to these books. I know the one you had originally looked for is not here, but these two are. As for my favor, I need you to attune to me, I think. There is something, let's say, attached.
I have seen it.
Great.
As he was originally speaking about the books, Steam would have approached both of them and reverently, if not almost sexually, touched the bindings of the book, walking his fingers up and down the spines. He also touches the dagger. Does anything happen to him, Johnny?
Touching the books? Are you attuned?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to start slipping in because he wants to be able to see the writing.
Okay, so when you touch the books, nothing happens. They essentially awaken for you in respect to the text becoming visible in their various states. Now you're showing him the Noctum and the Diablo. Is that correct? Or are you showing him the...
Yeah, I only have Noctum and Diablo. The Codex Umbra is somewhere else.
Codex Umbra is currently with Bowerstone someplace in it. Yeah. Okay. So the text comes alive for you. Are there any particular pages that you show him specifically to start, or you just leave the books open for him to look at?
Yeah, so Nyx doesn't really understand exactly what's in there, so it's whatever page he had it left open to. So likely the Legend of the Green Fields, and a page about a journal page, specifically mentioning a time before the Cataclysm.
So, right, you see both of those pieces of information. There's nothing that really stands out for you as you kind of begin to slip in, but the pages do stand out and they're brilliant. The text is there, the circumstance of the Legend of the Green Fields, and the description with which you read in the journal entry just sounds completely alien to you. But the text themselves is just the brilliance of their color and what they're written in. As for what you see glowing through the rest of the book, you do see the permanence or the ambience of the purple and blues. In this case, it's both purple because it's the Noctum and the Diablo. So you see mostly the purples, but those red pages are burning for you in the bottom of the book, the pages at the back. As you reach out towards the dagger, it feels cold and alien to you. Icy cold, and burns just a little bit as you touch it. But it does not hurt you.
Enjoy your stay.
He pulls his hand away from the knife and goes back to kind of dancing his fingers along the books. And over his shoulder, without looking at Nyx, he says, These are now open to me.
They are, if you tell me what you find.
That was my promise. I said that any knowledge I gleaned, I would share with us, with all of us.
I believe that what we are facing now is more than we expected. This man in white, this chaos, is not what he seems, but I don't know what he is. And then he explains like what happened after Steam left. There's another, this Mother May, the woman in rags you saw in the bed. I believe she has powers similar to him. And this red armored dwarf also bears similar abilities. I was shown a vision by the demon that was in Valen, and he showed me several members. I believe Mother May was one, the man in white was one, there was a young woman, and there was one more, a beggar. Now with the addition of this red dwarf, I don't know how many more there are, but they are different than anything we have encountered thus far.
As you're talking, Steam continues to just touch the books, just tracing his fingers down the pages that are visible and open. And over, as you explain everything, when you're done, when Nyx is done, he says, they wish to reopen the gate. They are stuck here, like all souls. On this, we are of like mind. How can I help you with your traveler, Nyx?
What is it?
I'm going to attune to Nyx.
Okay.
Now, with him, am I able to use him as an assist since he's telling me exactly I've got something attached to me? I saw it before when we were in Bowerstones. Does that count as an assist or a
Nyx can
setup?
attune as well. I mean, I don't know if he can attune to himself, but he would absolutely help if he could.
Okay, so when you attune to the ghost field, you're already in there. I'm not going to have you roll necessarily unless you want to do something very specific, because what you would see is exactly what you saw before, right? You would see the tainted shadow that kind of extends itself very much in the. Did you ever see the Doctor Who episode where there were the two shadows, and it was the creatures that were carnivores and would eat the flesh? It looks a lot like that in some ways, in respect to there's more than one shadow when you look at him. At first, it was in his shadow, right? It was a taint just on his shadow. Now it's begun to extend itself from a different perspective and light. So there is that additional shape there.
What color is it?
It looks exactly the same as his shadow in the ghost field, which would be the spectral blue, but it's not as brilliant. Vasha Narada, thank you.
I would like to attune to the creature, or whatever it is, the shadow, to see if I can ascertain a weakness, specifically if the knife will hurt it.
Okay, so describe to me exactly how you're going to do that. What would be like? Would it be just a matter of touching the blade, or would it be something else? Like, would it be reaching out in the ghost field for the blade, using your physical being to touch the blade? I mean, what does it look like when you're trying to identify whether this is going to be able to affect that taint?
Well, basically what it would be is it's almost like, have you ever seen when carpenters or log home builders, they carve off, like they shear off the bark off of the meat of the heartwood? It would be like that. He would draw it over the air atop where the shadow is in the ghost field, just slowly getting lower, slowly getting lower, slowly getting lower, until he gets close enough to the creature to see if it either reacts or it allows it to happen. You know, nothing threatening, just a repetitive motion, just like very natural, very keeping with that, the way he's like kind of sinks into the field, and he's just going to have the knife and see if he can't just rhythmically approach this thing.
As you get closer with the blade, it doesn't react at first, other than to become more brilliant and change color.
What color?
It's a hue of pink. It shifts from the diminished color of blue, the pale color of blue, the lack of brilliance or vibrance. But as you get closer to it, it just morphs through a weird sort of purplish color into the pink as you come closer and closer to it.
I don't want to hurt Nyx. And this thing is technically not even attached to his physical form, but I have a feeling that this might be more parasitic than symbiotic, so
he did stab your sister.
Right, but he saved.
I stabbed her to life.
You can stab him to life, just
it was like an it was an Evanescence song. Yeah. Steam would look up, and he, in the ghost field, knowing that Nyx is probably attuned in his own way, he whispers to him, "This may hurt a bit," and he jams the knife down into the creature.
All right, this is where the attune roll comes into play.
Okay.
Position is risky in my head, bordering on desperate. This is the first time that you're actively engaging with a thing, and whatever it is, you haven't spent any time doing any type of research or otherwise. You're taking a brute force action. That's where it would say that it's desperate to me. Also because you don't know how it's going to affect him in the ghost field, or how it's going to affect him physically. I am curious to hear if anybody else has any arguments one way or another around the table.
I would say desperate. Yeah, we have zero information about it.
Okay, so desperate sounds about right then. So just make sure that you mark this as a desperate, or as an XP point, because you're taking a desperate action. Effect. Standard seems like the right thing to me. That's not limited just to, to Nyx. It's related to something that's attached to Nyx. So standard seems about right. I could see arguments for great, in that it may reveal something about what the Dimmer sisters had actually intended to do to the man in white that didn't work.
Something that the Dimmers had intended to do to the man in white, but didn't work?
They wanted to use that to drain him. Remember, it looked brand new?
Right.
And then it was shitty when it dropped. It was draining the life force, so he took it off, and then... Shwoop.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and...
The sound effects.
Yeah. I was enthralled.
Will you record that for my my alerts, please?
Give me another one, just in case first one wasn't good enough.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If I bump
no, you can't ask any questions here.
Okay, well, then I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to bump up my effect to great because I've got a whole bunch of those, right?
Actually, you
do.
I know. I'm going to use it right now.
That's okay, because I'm gonna bump your effect back down to standard.
I've got like 4 of those. We can do this.
Do it.
All right, I've got another one.
So take 3 away.
No, all right. I'm not gonna, because we're not gonna play that game. If you really want to, it really ultimately depends on the role, right? What the role actually reveals. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for you to kind of identify what was going on there. So go ahead and call it. We call it great effect.
Okay.
Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
I'm gonna go now. A crit gives me an automatic 6, correct?
A crit does give you an automatic 6.
2 6s.
Sorry, he's right. 2 6s.
Can I roll and then decide whether or not I want to use it?
Sure, but I'm still gonna ask you the question of whether you want to take a devil's bargain or.
No, I'm not going to take a devil's bargain. I'm not
Do you
going to
push yourself?
I am not going to push myself. I'm going to do a straight roll, and then you're saying that after the result of this roll, I'm allowed to say I'm going to use my crit instead. And
we've never set a precedence one way or another, so it's open for interpretation at this point. So go ahead and roll it, and let's see what happens. We can have a conversation about whether we should establish something.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and use that crit.
Let's establish it from now on after this roll.
That is exactly why. Okay, so the precedence is, and this applies to all 3 crews, that if they have a crit, they can use it after a roll fails. It's very much in the same way of, okay. Great. So when you stab it, the blade comes down into it. And I'm going to go back to a question that I had for you that I wasn't really quite sure about the answer of, and so I'm going to ask you to clarify again, based on that, so I can make this description as colorful as possible. When you grab for the blade and we're bringing it in, you were doing the slicing off. Were you grabbing the blade in the ghost field, or were you grabbing at the blade in reality, like in the real world?
Well, since I'm attuned and I've slipped, and that's the only way I really do it, it would be ghost field.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure, because when you stab it and it goes into this second shadow that's beginning to change as you get closer, you move in and you stab, right? And when you stab it, the blade goes through the ground, right? Because the blade is in the ghost field, it slips below the surface of the floor next to you, or next to Nyx, and pins this, now going from pink to this brilliant sort of red sort of just thing that's starting to reach up and grab, and almost like not spawn, venom. Kind of reaching up and just kind of like the way that the it's almost like an oily kind of a substance, and it just comes to life and just tries to reach up and grab for you as you're doing this. But the blade begins to glow this brilliant sort of dark light effect, and it burns in your hand, but not burns you. You can feel its heat. You can feel its intensity, its ability to attack this thing, but it feels hot, but it's not hurting you. And you see this thing begin to kind of smoke in the ghost field as it begins to kind of disintegrate and sort of waft away. And as it's doing that, it occurs to you that you have seen something like this before, just not used in this particular way. It is like a spirit vein charm, in that it is a type of tool used in the ghost field. But with spirit bane charms, they're there to protect you. They're there to prevent. It's almost like a barrier. This is almost a vice versa, in that it is there to latch on and sort of broadcast your location, right? To sort of like,
it's a tracer.
It absorbs the energy of its host. And in how it does that, in kind of signaling and pushing out. But you realize that it wasn't meant for mortals, that it wasn't meant for souls. It was meant for a different type of creature. And so what it was doing to Nyx was actually corrupting him. Because as you're watching this thing kind of just kind of bubble up and dissolve and do its thing, you're watching the taint on Nyx's soul begin to kind of remove away, and it becomes a brilliant blue again.
As soon as it's burned completely away, he waits a couple more minutes beyond that, and he pulls the knife out, flips it around, and puts it back on the table, looks up at Nyx, and says, "You are passenger free."
Does Nyx feel any of that? I mean, I'm sure he can see it because he attuned as well, but...
No, you don't feel it. You didn't. You weren't at a situation where it was going to overwhelm you yet. But there was going to be a point in the next session or two where it was going to start. I was going to start having you make a particular roll, a fortune roll, related to it. You caught it before it actually did its thing. So.
Okay. Yeah, he kind of looks to you and says, "What was it?"
It was broadcasting your location. It was a tracer of some kind. Chances are they will know its last location.
They?
Whoever they may be.
Good thing it's in the middle of our base.
Nyx reaches, while they're both attuned, I guess to Nyx, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out the pen from Lady Rowan. What does that look like?
Okay, so one thing before we get to that particular element. Do you describe what it looks like to Bowerstone and OC?
Oh, they're still in a separate room unless they've joined us.
We all were talking the whole time.
Yeah,
So just leading on the
Enjoy
staircase,
your
go, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah, Steam explains it.
Okay, so at that, OC would recognize that what the Dimmer sisters had given her was meant to do exactly that to the man in white.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was there to provide that circumstance to be able to track the man in white. And they pretty much told her that, right? So she would recognize that this is not a new thing. Mm-hmm. They have done it to other people. This was prepared specifically for the man in white, though, case. So this was something that she would have at least some understanding of what they were intending to do. So the whole idea that you did it in some place.
You mean whoever did it would have the same intention?
Right, exactly. But it was the Dimmer sisters. You would know that it was the Dimmer sisters' intent to do this. They were very honest and plain about it to you.
Oh, you mean to do it to the man in white?
Yes.
I was gonna say not to Nyx. That has nothing. Okay, yeah.
So
she would explain that she already said that because she knew it was a tracking device.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to explain to Nyx or to Mike and Greg that the assumption Nyx picked it up when he attuned. Right. He activated it. It attached to him. It saw easier prey and host. It was meant to attach to the first person who really, engaged it. Kind of.
It was collateral damage. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was essentially collateral damage, right? Which is why when it ended up in the man in white's pocket after Nyx slipped it into his pocket, it glowed brightly, but he was already absorbing that energy from it, right? He was actually absorbing the energy from it, not the vice versa. It was not absorbing energy from him, right? Okay, so now you pull out the pen, or he pulls out the pen and hands it to you. How do you want to approach looking at this?
Are we both attuning to it?
Yeah, so Nyx, I pulled that out believing that it was this and not the necklace. Because, obviously OC said that the necklace was meant to track this guy, so he assumed that the Dimmer sisters had, taken precautions of just not tracking anyone random. So he pulls up this pen and asks you, and just, what does it look like, Johnny? If we're both in the ghost field, does this pen look any different than a normal pen?
It vibrates with Leviathan blood energy, right? It vibrates purple. It's because of the tip and the saturation of it. Other than that, it doesn't really stand out to you too much more than that. But you haven't used it yet, so I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume we're in like a storehouse in our lair where we had like a bunch of our ill-gotten gains. If he pulls this out and there's like a faint purple glow to it, he just tears a parchment off of something and just begins writing with it. what is it? Does it look like the writing in the books?
It does.
And
when you write it, as you begin to write it, it glows brightly, the purple, and then it begins to kind of fade into the dull glow that represents what it looks like in the books.
Yeah, and then he takes the paper and pen and places it down next to the two other books.
And the glow and the essentially the color timbre or the radiance of it is all the same.
Yeah, that's it. He just kind of looks at that and he looks questioningly at Steam because he's slightly more knowledgeable about this stuff than I think than Bowerstone, who actively said, "I know nothing about this crazy shit," but only because he's been pursuing it recently. So yeah, he kind of looks to you for an answer or thought.
This is beyond me. We need a whisper. One that focuses on demonology, Leviathan blood. We can read these, we can understand them, but we won't conceive of their higher meaning. Not yet.
If you'd like a Taikarosi, I have a 2-for-1 deal for you.
Oh, not more.
Steam just smiles. Just a slight one, and just to Ose.
When OC says that, he picks the pen back up and looks at her, like sort of coming out of the ghost field, and says, "Magdalene gave me this," and puts it back down.
Oh, you mean Lady Rowan?
Yes.
She
friend,
still remain untouched, remember?
Lady
She
Rowan
is,
is
but
to remain untouched.
This pen, Reymond, writes the same way as the writing in these books. The writing that you cannot normally see.
Then we deal with that after. I'm not losing this voter, Nix. I'm not losing this influential person.
Did Bowerstone already tell us what you were promised? Because OC left and Steam wasn't there. So you're talking about what he said after we left. Did you guys tell him what they promised you?
I didn't.
We haven't mentioned anything about it after he left. We're talking Lady Rowan offered her vote to him.
No. That's nothing to do with what I'm asking.
The man in white.
Did you tell the two of us what the man in white promised you? Because he promised him alderman and he promised you. So did you tell us that?
Yeah, like hours ago.
You told us that.
Yeah, that the man in white offered me the city. You said
if he's already going to be alderman, what's one vote?
I don't trust him.
Yet you stayed.
Yeah, I was curious. And I needed to see that and he looks to Steam, end of the bargain was fulfilled. He's promising you Doskvol. You took it like a child. Do you really think he's just going to hand you the whole city?
If what he is after is opening the gate, Doskvol is a small price to pay.
And how do you expect him to just hand it to you?
Because it won't be worth anything then.
It's for sure that I can reach Alderman. I don't think it's for sure you can become the ruler of Doskvol.
There may not be a Doskvol if we stand around. Have you looked outside? Alderman of what?
I'll leave it to you then. If you want to deal with her, I'm going to put full trust in you three. If this screws up, I want you to know that it was your faults in doing this. I don't trust this man in white.
I'm fine. I didn't make a deal with him.
Steam walks up to the table and he puts his finger on the sketch of the crematorium.
We have not asked ourselves a very important question. What does Chaos want in the crematorium?
Did he see a mask?
He did. I assume one of the Spirit Warden's masks.
Why would a being like that want something that he can already do? Protection from spirits? He's living outside the barrier.
I don't think it's protection that he wants. It is believed that the bells are attuned to the masks, and only a wearer can hear them. Or the crows. And he wants to put the fear of death back in Doskvol.
He either wants to stop them from doing their jobs or corrupt it then. Why? This does not help him get closer to the gate. It just causes chaos in Doskvol.
Maybe there's something else he needs, and the chaos is a distraction.
Exactly.
So why don't we clean up the chaos?
Why don't we get his fucking mask?
What do we know about the crematorium, Johnny?
The crematorium is located in Charter Hall. It is quite a large, imposing structure. With huge smokestacks that billow constantly, with a sort of sickly sweet smell that comes out that is believed to be the result of whatever process the spirit wardens are using to free the spirits and absorb the spirits and the spectral energy and dissolve the bodies, kind of a thing. Other than that, it's kind of a black box in a lot of ways. There is a pair of doors up to the front. It's quite a large pair of doors. No spirit warden is ever actually seen leaving or going into the crematorium.
Their identities remain. They're anonymous.
Right, exactly. And so with the thing about spirit wardens is they don't speak. They don't communicate in normal ways. And nobody knows the identity of any single spirit warden or multiple. It is impossible to identify any of them at this point. There are some groups that are actively trying to infiltrate them, but it is not clear what level of success that has happened. The spirit warden wears the exact same outfit. They all look the same. Like they all have the same imposing body shape that's not male or female. They wear the same robes, they wear the same mask and the same hood, right? They carry the same types of hooks when the same spirit hooks and weapons that they carry. It's all very much like clones or duplicates, or it's the exact same thing every time when you see a spirit warden. When they walk around, they walk with the same bodies, movements, and mannerisms. You would see them running around the city. You just never see them entering or exiting the crematorium.
Okay. So when Steam suggests that, Nyx kind of looks at him and says, I think that is, and pardon me for saying so, but I think that's a little bit above us right now. I believe there's far more research to be done before we could infiltrate the crematorium.
I agree. But when the time comes, I believe we should go in as wardens.
I agree. The fourth book, however, resides in Crowsfoot as well. It appears as though all points lead to Crowsfoot. Your candidacy, this vigilante, Horace Keel's menacing sister, this book.
And Nye.
And
Nye? What the hell is Nye doing in Crowsfoot?
She's not herself anymore. The Dimmer sisters have lost control of her. And without her memory being as old as she is, it can't be anything good. We have to do something. Whether it's what I want or not.
I hate to say it. We do have to find Nye. If she's stumbling around there and someone picks her up and they...
We will find
If
Nye.
you remember, she's a mess you also have to clean up, Alderman.
Nye is your responsibility, OC.
My responsibility now. She's going to take the mask and throw it on the floor and leave. To go grab drinks. She'll come back. She just needs to not punch him in the face.
He just looks to Steve. You able to find Nye? You've met her before?
If I am within her proximity, I can find her. If she catches herself in a loop, I can find her. The problem is, even in her weakened condition, she's still a spirit. She knows the rules, perhaps far better than I. If she wants to remain hidden, we will have to find her the old-fashioned way.
I have people looking into all sorts. I'm sure I can add this to the list.
Can I put out a message? If I have someone here upstairs, I'm sure working or waiting or whatever, for me to send out a message?
To where?
To my girls who would ever cross paths in Crow's Foot or any of my, pretty much using my Rook network.
Okay.
To keep an eye out for her. I would give the description of that the sisters gave me.
Okay. All right.
Probably won't yield anything, but she's desperate. So.
Well, you also both. I mean, the crew also owns an establishment in. The crew, not an OC, but the crew owns an establishment in Crow's Foot. So there's also an opportunity there to pick up more information as well.
She would start there. If anyone saw a woman fighting or captured or roaming the streets or acting oddly or looking crazed or anything out of the ordinary.
So the information that would definitely come to you through that would be that there is no description of a woman specifically, but there appears to be a vigilante roaming the streets, all dressed in black, saving other women, women matching the description of that you give them of Nye, the body that Nye is currently in. There's been a couple of occurrences where women who look like that have reported that they have seen this vigilante.
Okay. OC will walk back in, and I'm either going to Crow's Foot to look for her, or I'm going to Penderin. Where is my time better spent? Just going to look directly at Nyx.
Nyx looks to you and says, I don't think either of them. Your friend, though valuable to you and an asset to us, apparently has no memory. If she has no memory, then she is no threat to us for now, and we can find her as we gather more information. Your friend
She has no memory of OC. There's a large
OC and the
distinction.
sisters. That's it. That's all that I was told.
But if she comes to find out any information...
She's carrying residual memories. She may be acting out as she has in the past.
That's dangerous.
Very.
When you mention this, you see Nyx look a little sort of paler than usual, and he says, when did your friend begin acting strangely?
What? Hold on. Wasn't Nyx there?
Yeah, but you met with her also earlier than that too, when you gave her the mask a second time. So he doesn't know when exactly she was acting strange.
When she got to us, after the explosion, after everything started happening.
Well, that mask that you neglected to return, it's not just any spirit bane mask. That mask was made from an older wood that belonged to my family. It is widely believed in the Isles that the traumatic death of many people can imprint themselves on objects. So if Nye was in the explosion, it could be that parts of those other spirits have imparted themselves on her. That is what makes my mask special.
Remember how we originally met? What happens to someone when they die in Doskvol? They seek out those that killed them. If she has absorbed a bevy of your enemies, we have a very serious problem.
You're talking about someone that would cause trouble in Crowsfoot attacking.
If Nyx's theory is correct, and if she has absorbed lamp blacks, crows, and sashes, she will, as memories bubble to the surface, different personalities, she will attack the lamp blacks, the crows, the sashes. But someday soon, she will remember just enough that she was sent there, and the sashes inside her will remember, and the lamp blacks will remember, and the crows will remember. It was you. And when she comes, you must be ready.
That is why it is your problem. Because we are a group. We make decisions and suffer the consequences as a group. This crematorium may come in more handy than we believe.
May I also state that if we decide to operate in Crowsfoot, we will be in the exact same vicinity as my sister's group.
Your sister, she going to be problematic?
Not for me.
I only say that because technically she owes us all. We as a whole helped her.
She owes you nothing. Your debt was with me. I am paying those off one at a time.
I don't fear your sister's group, and I don't fear your sister.
We are of like mind on her group. Of her, you would be wise to hold a little fear in your heart.
I trust that she's going to be somewhat friendly, considering our involvement with each other's groups.
Regardless, we will be within spitting distance of them.
Nyx closes the two books, puts the pen back in his pocket, takes the paper, walks across to the lounge area and throws the paper in the fire, and then turns back to everyone and says, "Well, it appears as though we're going to Crowsfoot. We might as well kill as many of these Deathseeker crows as possible. We need information on all three of the gangs that were warring there. We need to find a way to bring them under our sway. I believe the crows are reforming. I believe the red sashes are weak, and judging by that knife skill you had, you may have an in there, OC. The Lampblacks still count us as an ally. Perhaps I can talk with them. The Imperial Guard believe you are the savior of Crowsfoot. You're welcome, Bowerstone. And Steam, I'll need that mask back."
I believe it is on its way.
Should we proceed to Crowsfoot and see what we can't find?
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say that sounded like a screen wipe, but it looked like Greg was going to say something else with Steam. So
I have an epilogue if you're ending it there. Are you ending it there or not?
No, I was actually going to cut you guys to crow's foot and figure out where you guys were set the circumstance there.
Okay, as soon as Steam would walk outside, there is a goat waiting for him. And
goat?
Well,
are we all walking outside?
A pup named Goat.
You mean a dire pug named Goat or an actual goat?
No, I mean a pup named Goat.
A pup named Steam.
It is an ugly creature.
Oh, watch it. She's in chat, man. Be nice.
If you say that, if Reymond says that out loud, Steam would actually hiss.
He's going to pet it.
Ah, Goat. You're using it already, I see.
And he pulls the mask off of Goat's collar, along with 2 notes. And he hands one back to Nyx with the mask.
So, mechanically speaking, both of you have notes in your handouts on Roll20. So, I'll let you two decide if you want to read them or not.
I think I angered someone in chat.
Really? That never happens.
It never happens, does it?
Doesn't matter. You're not allowed in goats and hoes.
So the question, while we have a second, while they read the notes, I have a question for Slade. Do you want to anger people in chat, or do you want to be called Butternips?
Both. I will incite a riot and a comedy session.
It's okay. He's pissing off the group too. He's about to be 4th group alone.
And so,
I am extremely disturbed by my letter. Steam is.
Can you read it out loud?
Okay. Do you read it aloud, or are you going to keep it for yourself?
Yeah, he does not read it out loud.
Can you read it out loud for us? Metagame.
I'll tell you after. How's
okay,
that?
done.
So Nyx takes the mask. Does Goat leave right away? So as soon and Goat is a spectral thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
that is correct.
So
it's a ghost dog.
When he wants to be, yeah.
So when you hand it to me, the 2 like veins glow blue, and then the further away Goat goes, they just go back to black. And he puts it in his the inside of his jacket, and then hands the note back to you, opened. And Johnny, if you could share that note.
I will share that note with everybody.
Nope, just to Steam.
Oh, just to Steam?
Yeah, he hands the note back to Steam.
I don't like this note passing like we're in fucking 3rd grade.
I completely agree with that particular point. Do you want to actually share the contents of the note with everybody, or are you just going to leave it private for now?
No, I'm going to leave it private. I'll talk about it afterwards. And he hands it back to Steam because he also has qualms with what it looks like. And hands it to him because he might know more about whatever it means. And then he kind of looks at everyone and says, well then, to crow's foot.
Fuck.
Would we go straight to our establishment, like our bar?
That's entirely up to you. Where you want to enter in crow's foot.
We've never been there.
The base bar.
Nyx has been there. Nyx can leave.
Well, okay, we've.
Yeah. Nyx would be able to get us access because he has, like I said, the friends in the Imperial Guard, and he would bring Bowerstone in. In fact, on the way, he would look to Reymond and say, now, when we cross the blockade, I have several friends that are in the enlisted guard of the Imperial Army. Most of them like you, for reasons yet unknown to me. But if you could give a short speech on how you plan to turn around things in Crowsfoot, it would further solidify votes in your name.
So we're going to reservoir dogs this shit?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, is that... So
we're going to go with that attempt? Is everyone on board with what just got written?
Sure.
Okay. So let's do it.
So, Johnny, I believe we're doing a score.
Yeah.
You are definitely starting a score
in
here.
10 minutes.
No, we got this. We'll make it short and sweet. We got this.
Okay. So why don't you tell me and the audience what you're intending to do.
We're intending to give a sweet speech, but the score is deception.
Okay.
So, can we leave the method of deception a mystery?
We
until
have
it
to.
happens?
Come on.
A little surprise.
So the score is deception. The location is Crowsfoot, and I don't think we need any information about it.
So what I'm going to suggest that we do then is we do any type of more research or information gathering to go into that without revealing what that is. Mm-hmm. I will ask you a bit about anything else that you set up in respect to loadouts and stuff, and then I will have you describe where it's starting, and then we will just end it there and leave that as the cliffhanger for next week. Does that sound good to you guys?
Sure.
Okay. So, is there any more type of information gathering that you guys want to do?
I don't think so.
OC is going to place a few of her, the people from her Rook network, in the crowd. Just security.
Yeah, I'm gonna give us. Yeah,
and there's people running around killing people in Crowsfoot. So.
Okay, so is there any other setup in this speech, in the circumstances of the location, plants in the crowd, that kind of a thing? Is there anything else that you're gonna setup wise? I'm not asking for everything. I'm just looking for just kind of a general sense of being able to establish for for everybody what it is that you guys are doing without revealing it.
The same way that OC is adding bodies to this speech area, this arena, so to speak. Nyx will have the other rooks as well.
Okay, fair enough.
In fact, I will even I'll go ahead and talk to my contact and say, we're going to be coming through. I'm going to be bringing Lord Reymond Bowerstone. If you would like to rally the troops and those who find themselves interested in his politics and his platform, then we would like to give a speech to you and the denizens of Crowsfoot. And I'll have the rooks kind of sprinkle out word.
Okay, so there's a bit more setup that's probably going to be required for that. And the reason I raise that is because Crowsfoot is still under martial law and in lockdown. Mm-hmm. So you would have to go through... I'm sorry, what?
Get the marshals round as well. Get everyone round.
They don't have time for your bullshit.
Yeah, we'll have free croissants.
Well, so if you're establishing a public event in a lockdown space, there would be at least a little bit more setup involved. We won't go into too much detail of that. We'll just kind of hand wave that, but it will come up if some circumstance as a part of the score requires it. It will come up at some point, and I'll have you guys do a flashback or whatever.
I can roll concert right now if you want to help set up the crowd. Or
no, whatever. I think it actually based on.
You mean narratively? You mean narratively? Like how we would get people together, how long it would take, who would show up, like just.
No, well, I'm just establishing that at some point, if the story requires it, after the score has started, I will have you guys do a flashback to set up potential things. I'm not suggesting that you do that right now, and I'm not suggesting that you make any rolls because it actually leaves a little bit of a mystery to it all, right? What you guys are intending to do. But with all that being said, I just want to make sure that you're aware that mechanically speaking, that might be something that you'll need to do.
Sure.
Okay. So deception. All right. Now that you guys have kind of established the setup without really talking about the details, what exactly are you guys walking into this situation with? For example, I believe it's Reymond that's going to be giving the speech, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that mean that Reymond is coming in with a loadout of weapons, or is he just dressing as an alderman?
No, he's dressing as an alderman. It's dangerous in public, so I don't know how this is. Yeah. He's done it before, and it wouldn't look appropriate having weapons, so alderman.
Okay, so what about everybody else?
OC is packing heat. She got her cane sword. She's dressed very nicely, and she's got trance powder.
Nyx has his usual loadout plus his spirit mask, but the spirit mask is in an interior pocket.
Normal loadout for Steam plus a pistol.
Okay. So based on what I just read privately in Discord, we'll go ahead and carry this on a little bit past 8 or 11 o'clock and talk and actually do the engagement roll. Given the sheer craziness of this fucking what you guys just messaged me privately, I'm going to say that not only is it one die for sheer dumb luck, but an additional die immediately for sheer fucking balls on what you guys are attempting to do here.
Okay.
So that's 2 immediately. Third is your connection or setup that you have not only with your establishment, but also the asset that's turning into a cohort in the army, in the Imperial Army. So that's 3 positive in your direction immediately.
Having our Rook networks there, both of them.
I'll say, +1 for the Rook networks as being
so
plants.
more established.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else besides those 4 things? So sheer dumb luck, ballsiness, your establishment and your setup with the Imperial guy, the Rook networks.
Could using this situation to our advantage be part of it? The fact that there's chaos and there's whatever, and we're using it to make a political. Is that
right? So so you're using the circumstances in Crowsfoot specifically as a political motivator or circumstance. So I agree. 5 right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything else?
We own the bar that we're doing it in front of.
Already, that was already the third one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the third one. So.
Man, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Okay, so removing. I've got 1 definitive, and then I'm going to leave 1 up to the table. The 1 definitive is the fact that Crowsfoot is in martial law. It's under complete lockdown, and there are heavy patrols not only from Bluecoats but also from the Imperial Army. Right? There's been established precedents that there are squads moving around on both Bluecoats and Imperial Army, both on Phantom and on the Tuesday crew. Second one is a potential, and I'm going to leave it up to the table on this one. Even though this is a ballsy circumstance, it's also an incredibly risky circumstance. There is a potential for catastrophic failure and it backfiring on you guys in a number of ways. So there's a lot of inherent risk in this. So I throw it out the table, and it's entirely up to you guys whether it goes away or not. But it seems to me that there is definitely an argument that's worth talking about in respect to how risky the situation is for you.
I think so. I agree that it's inherently incredibly risky, but I think we know. I think we're doing it because it's inherently risky. Like the risk, the fact that it's so risky is in itself the reward.
So that counts as the ballsy, but there are so many variables that could play against you guys in this circumstance. There are so many unknowns. That's the reason I asked you about setup. So as much as stuff can happen, you jump into the score and then flashbacks can all happen. Sure. There's also still that inherent risk. But I agree with you that there is an argument that goes both ways.
Is it controlled?
I see it as one, but you're seeing it as another. So it really is up to the rest of the table.
Okay.
Could you put it as controlled?
It's neither. It's an engagement roll. They don't have.
It's an engagement.
It's a flat roll.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Fucking one of you speak.
I'll just jump in and be an asshole. If you're going to take 1 away for it being under martial law, I argue that because if we're carrying a large contingent of Imperial Guards, Imperial Army with us, that oversteps the Bluecoats anyway. If we're walking with them, if anything, we're going to be the patrols will fall in line to protect him. Recognizing that if there's some contingent that has already identified him as a person of interest, it would become a military operation at that point where they would fall in line and make sure that person was protected, much like a convoy would in a military operation.
Yeah, they just especially with the Skoblander presence and the fact that Scobes recently killed Horace Keel, and that the actual previous alderman was murdered, was believed to be murdered. I think that the Bluecoats and If we announce that there is going to be a speech, I think the Bluecoats and Imperial Guard would act as guard.
They would send who they can.
Right, but so that's the individuals. Those are the individuals working with you specifically, right? Those are the people that are going to be providing your guard of some sort. There are still unknown factors around you that are going on in respect to. There are still 2 other crews essentially operating actively, or sorry, three other factions and 2 other crews that are actively operating in Crowsfoot right now.
That's true.
Running various operations. So that as a factor is going to come into play, from they're all on alert for various and different reasons. On top of that, Speedy makes a good point. I'm not sure necessarily if I agree in chat, but I mean, to treat the crews specifically operating and the circumstances of what's going on with those operations, their scores as also a separate, circumstance. So it's the intent of the Bluecoats and the Imperial Army to really kind of keep things locked down, and then there's the effort of the crews. I'm going to say that the crews don't necessarily matter at this point, but that first one definitely is going to stay there for that, because it's a combination of the crews and the other operating factions in Crowsfoot itself. But I'm still coming back to the question about I'm still coming back to the question about the iffy on this one, right? Because there are so many inherent risks to all of you personally in this. That's Mike doesn't believe that it's the case. It sounds like the rest of you don't believe that's the case either. So I'm hearing that it's not a factor and that it's not a negative necessarily, because you were already considering that it's batshit crazy and ballsy as fuck.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny, I'd also add this. We currently out-tier everybody in that area.
We don't.
You do not. You do not out-tier the Bluecoats, and you do not out-tier the Imperial Army.
Well, we have them on our sides, what I mean. I mean,
you do not out-tier the Bluecoats, and you do not out-tier the Army. You have a contingent. You have an honor guard, basically. You do not have the full cooperation of every independent unit.
Yeah. And we also don't out-tier the Phantoms. They're also 3.
oh, whatever.
Okay.
So yeah. So
that sounds like 4, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I think Reymond should roll this one.
Sure.
Okay.
So fortune roll in the bottom right of your character sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I wanted
And then
them to
plus,
unpack.
and then the 4.
4.
Oh boy.
Guys, guess
Do
what?
it.
Holy shit! Wow. Get fucked, everyone else.
God, baby, that's it.
Oh.
That thing we added in chat is also happening.
Oh, god damn it.
Which
Hey,
one?
Alderman.
You guys threw so many things in chat.
I'll post it again. It's fine.
Okay.
We can
Thank
throw
you.
whatever we want with
All right.
6s, man.
Who wants to describe the setting and circumstance of the speech? Because you guys have got this all set up in your mind. I
Nix,
want you
go
guys
ahead.
to. I want you to describe it narratively for me.
Nix is up there with him. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Nix is absolutely up there.
Yes.
So I would assume. So we're in. So here's the tavern, the gallows respite. There's a mock stage built out in front of that. There is a handful of Bluecoats on the stage. There's a contingent like bodyguards of Imperial guards around on the ground around the front of the stage. There are various painted ladies and painted ladies in disguise. There are also, the homeless in varying dress. Both Rook networks are in various dress as plants in the audience. My assets are there. The people of Crowsfoot have turned out, essentially. And Nix sort of walks up to the podium and introduces Reymond Bowerstone, and he says, ladies and gentlemen, for his first official appearance here in Crowsfoot, on a day of mourning after the death of Horace Keel, I would like to present to you the sole remaining runner-up for the position of alderman here in Crowsfoot, Lord Reymond Bowerstone. And he sort of brings you in.
Who's going to get up? What's the crowd's reaction? Is there like applause? Is it just like dead silent? There are a couple boos.
Well, immediately I think the Rooks, I think on both OC's Rooks and Nix's Rooks both begin to golf clap. I'm sure the Imperial Guard love you, so at least the lower enlisted, they begin to, there's a dull murmur in the crowd.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, thank you very much for coming out here. I promise I won't speak too much. I know you're here for the fantastic drinks and food. Can I just say, ladies and gentlemen, it is so great to be here, and under the protection of our blue coats, I've never felt more safe.
Steve.
As soon as he begins his speech and the applause are rising, a figure.
Speak up. Speak up.
Oh, sorry. A figure comes out, hooded, but dressed in the garb of maybe an ex-military Scotlander, runs in and takes a pistol and fires it point blank into the belly of the alderman, and then runs off the stage and jumps, disappearing into the crowd.
From all over the crowd, you hear women and men screaming, Scotlander! I've seen him! His name is Roth! I've seen him too!
And that's where we're going to end it.
That's it.
And that's where we're going to end it.
Boom!
I love you, Joff.
You can't end it on that.
Oh, yeah. That happened.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal, guys. So...
Sling, you can always come back.
Hey, guys, it turns out we have an open slot on our Wednesday night game.
Wow. Okay. So,
My hands are sweating.
I'm just kind of watching chat's reaction right now. I'm kind of enjoying the circumstance for what's going on, because I think that Louise's reaction is the best. Time for a new name change for Joff, basically. So Grin just recently died, quote unquote. He just took on the moniker of Wrath, and it sounds like Wrath is now going to have to change his name again. Okay,
It's Twilight
Sparkles. I think that's perfect. Okay, so why don't we go around and we'll do XP real quick, and then we'll turn it back over to Mike. Who wants to go first?
We'll let our deceased companion go first.
I'm dead.
Is he really
so it doesn't
deceased
matter.
though?
Yeah.
I mean, guys, it's been fun, but the show must go on, so I had fun.
I did not punch a child.
But you did murder an alderman. Let's be clear, or sorry, a future alderman. You did do that.
Possible future alderman.
Well, not now. Fucking
Okay.
dead.
Okay, Reymond, come on. Let's get started with this.
Okay. Yeah, let me pull up the fucking
All right.
list here.
Do you want me to just go? Because I have
yeah,
two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
Every time you roll a desperate action, nope. Address a town, deception or influence. I would argue the one for that. Using deception, obviously, with the crowd.
Of course.
Beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I would say my background with Nye, having to deal with it.
Absolutely.
My heritage with Steam.
Okay.
And then I would say vice or trauma. I would definitely say I struggled with my vice.
You absolutely did, especially because you overindulged and you basically tapped yourself out on a particular aspect of your vice.
Okay.
So, absolutely. Okay, so that's 4.
Yep.
Okay, cool. What's to go next? Are we going back to Reymond, or are we going to...
I'm ready
okay.
to go. So no dispredactions this time. Deception and influence. I mean, I'm for the speech right there. The other one, I don't know if you want to put influence over his very short but key words that he gave in that speech.
Okay.
Influence.
Sure.
Beliefs, drives. When it came to the vigilante, whole, he doesn't want many of them running around. And I'm going to say his drive to become alderman, to really for this scene that's just happened. It was pushing himself, but he knew that it's what had to happen to keep going through. And vice and traumas, nothing this time.
Okay. So that sounds like 4, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Who's next?
Steam?
Yeah, I did have a desperate roll. also addressed the challenge with stealth or evasion, the assassination attempt, and going back and forth, the ferrying operation outside of the wall could be considered stealth. Sneaking up to the Dimmer Sisters, however you want to call it. I think there's 2 there. Expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background with OC, and also he explained quite a bit about his belief structure, specifically what he shared with the man in white and what he disagreed with whenever discussing the gate. Struggled with an issue from my vice or trauma? No, I did not. So 4 plus the one I already put in for the desperate roll.
Okay, sounds good. So 5.
Yep.
And Mike.
So no desperate rolls. Address the challenge with calculation and conspiracy. I think the conversation with the man in white, and then this. That's 2 for that. Express my beliefs, drive, heritage, or background. Drives maybe when I asked the man in white for the entire city.
Absolutely.
Background and heritage maybe when he was explaining the significance of his mask and how it might apply to Nick Nye rather. So
okay.
1 for that, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 2. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Is that 2 or 1?
2 works for me.
Okay. And then struggle with my vice or traumas. No.
All right. Crew XP.
Crew XP. Let's see here. We did not successfully complete a mission. We did that last time. Contend with challenges above our station. This could be considered above our station.
Okay.
Right? Is that 1?
Is this above your station? Because we made the argument about the Imperial Army and the Bluecoats being essentially above your station. Yes.
Okay.
And it works in this case.
Bolster crew's reputation or develop a new one. I mean, I think that having the alderman give a speech bolsters at least his reputation.
Okay.
I would argue for 1 XP for that.
I would argue that having him assassinated would also be a second.
Yep.
The fact that he was able to draw in a crowd and the fact that he was assassinated in front of said crowd is bolstering your reputation.
Sure. Express goals, drives, inner conflict, and essential nature of the crew. We did goals was our ambition, was this whole situation here. Drives, maybe not so much. Inner conflict, there was some... OC learned about a bunch of the things that Nyx was not telling her. Steam and Nyx had some moments where they were a little bit secretive and sort of keeping everyone else out of the loop. And Bowerstone just consecutively hates all of us and just has to deal with us. Oh, and he got called a puppet several times and by Demon Jesus. So
yeah. So all I'm saying is I'm the puppet in all this. That's all I am.
Yeah. Not anymore.
No, fuck you. This is your idea.
So I would say
no. Now you're dead.
Now you're dead. So I'd say 2 for that for drives, and that's all I got.
All right. Well, before I hand it back over, yeah, you know what? Fuck. Back to you, Mike.
Sweet.
God damn it.
So, guys, I will take this time to remind you we are doing a giveaway. If you guys want to win a chance or enter to win a chance to get the book Blades in the Dark that we are playing out of to play in your own version of Doskvol or in your own version of 6 and 20, we are accepting art, poems, writing, songs, whatever you consider art. Send to the hashtag 6 and 20 art on Twitter. You can also tag at Blade620 or me, Johnny, or Speedy as well. We also have these amazing shirts you see myself wearing, Johnny wearing. I know most of the cast has them. Those are available on the unMadeGaming merch store, exclamation point merch in the chat. Feel free to go and buy those and support the crew. That's really all I have to show you about. So let's go around and introduce everybody. We'll start with the deceased potential alderman. Slade, who are you? What are you doing here? And what do you think of tonight?
So yeah, Slade for Crit Dice Gaming. I played Reymond Bowerstone. Some interesting stuff happened today. Yeah, I look forward to seeing where the crew goes with this. And yeah, it's been fun.
Sweet. Our resident murderer, Greg, who are you? What are you doing here? And what do you think of tonight?
Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter, and I had a blast killing one of our crew members and framing it on Phantom. I'm sorry, Joff, but a matter of convenience, man. There's a hatred and a racial animosity that was already predictated by the narrative. We grabbed it and ran with it, as I'm sure you guys will in the future. But as of right now, Crit Dice Gaming, hit us with a crit. See you guys next week.
Miss Ginger Ninja, you had a lot of emotional things happening today. You feeling? You gonna come back from this?
She's gonna start killing everybody.
All right,
Season's not over.
Yeah, great job. So, Miss Ginger Ninja, who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm Xmas Ginger Ninja. If I'm gonna kill anyone, it's probably gonna be Bowerstone. He's giving me too much sass, and she's not having it. She's already emotional.
Yeah, you can kill ghosts in this game, so just get that ability and just punch his ghost to death.
No, I'll just take him to the crematorium.
I'm chilling with my family.
Just drop him right in there. Fucking Roger Rabbit, that shit. I'm Xmas Ginger Ninja. I'm playing OC, and I want to see some fanfic. Draw some fanfic, guys.
Yeah, some slash fics, preferably.
Yeah.
And last but abusedly least this time, Johnny, who are you? What are you doing here? And how did we get away with this?
You got away with this by surprising with me, me in the last 15 minutes. Hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do this? Firing back and forth until holy shit. Wow. Awesome. I'm still processing. Awesome. I'm still getting messages from everybody on the Phantom side. Awesome. Yeah. My name is Johnny. I run the VideostoreCowboy channel. I'm also the GM for 6 and 20, which is our Blades in the Dark collaborative between myself, Mike, unMadeGaming, and then Speedy, Not So Speed Runs. This is a thing that happens on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights. Tuesdays on my channel, Wednesday here on unMadeGaming, and then Thursdays over on Speedy's channel. These are 3 crews operating in essentially the same connected setting. We love having you. Please send us some great art. We'd love to see the weird kind of fanfic, weird /fic stuff that you want to do. I personally, I'm shipping the Steam OC, fic, but that's just me. Anyways,
ship Bowerbottom and the Man in White. But before he turns back into a normal person.
Gross.
Yeah, okay. I'm all about that. I'm seriously all about that. That is perfect. So anyways, thank you guys. Had a great night. I can't even, I'm still processing, so I'm just going to turn it back over. Thank you guys.
Fantastic. So yeah, as you said, guys, Tuesday 8 p.m., Wednesday 8 p.m., and Thursday 8 p.m. We do 6 and 20. You can find us here tomorrow. We're doing Havoc in the Hinterland at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, our D&D 5e game. We have a new game, Symbaroum, coming out soon. It's going to be on Sundays from 8 to 11. It's going to be a dark, grimdark fantasy game. Should be pretty cool. And then we have a new Numenera game coming out soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And with that, guys, we're going to go raid a good friend of mine and some awesome YouTubers in the D&D creator space, Saber Dice. They're currently playing some D&D 5e right now. So go give them your love, give them the hot sticky raid from unMadeGaming, and from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.